performance from Irvin Santana last night, and now Hector Santiago will try to once again follow the leader and keep this 1-2 pitching punch from the Twins going strong. He'll oppose another lefty, Cole Hamels, who has been a very good pitcher in this league for a very long time. This season, ERA for Hamels is just over 2.5. And Hamels will have the challenge of keeping Miguel Sano in the ballpark. His homer last night was estimated at 437 feet and 110 miles per hour. Sano and Joey Gallo are 1-2 in the league in exit velocity. Gallo's homer last night left the bat at 109 miles per hour. That was the only run the Rangers had, by the way. Twins have won the first 2 games in this series. Now they are in position to sweep the Rangers on the road in Texas. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. And good evening again from Arlington. I'm Marnie Gellner. Miguel Sano played a very good overall game last night, arguably his best overall game in the big leagues. Sano at the plate went 3 for 4 with that home run, but it was the plays he made in the field that stood out so much. The home run right here was a bomb to the second deck, where they say that is only the 21st time a baseball has landed in that spot in this ballpark. 3 hits total for Sano, and then that defensive play right there is the one Paul Molitor said stood out to him the most. Gene Glenn has been working a lot since last season with Sano in the field, and Glenn said that he is really proud of the progress that Sano has made and the plays that he made, and that he has a belief that he can be a very good third baseman in this league. Dick Bramer, Bert Blyleven, Sano played well, the team played well, and you know Hector Santiago would certainly love to see that kind of performance here again tonight.
Yeah, Marnie, Twins fans have been waiting for most of the last 6 years for somebody, anybody, to step up and be an ace of the pitching staff, and now so far in 2017 the Twins have not won, but 2 starters who are doing really well.
Yeah, it's kind of follow the leader. Santana pitches well. Hector Santiago has pitched well. 3 of the 4 starts, his last 3 starts, have been quality starts. Give us 6 innings or more, and Hector Santiago's been able to do that. Looking for his 3rd win of the year. This guy kind of on a roll right now. He might be pitching a little bit with a heavy heart tonight, but he knows what his job is, and that's to go out and compete against a Ranger ball club that he has faced a lot.
Yeah, he's pitching tonight, having lost his grandmother yesterday, and you can see our State Farm combination showing that the Twins have a good pair to draw to, with Santana from the right side, Santiago from the left side. But the bottom line is, of course, if the Twins are going to be in contention, they need the whole rotation to pitch well, and as it is right now, it's been a very top-heavy starting rotation. We'll see what the Twins can do. They haven't swept a 3-game series here in Texas since 1976. They've got a chance to do that here tonight and head to Kansas City, enjoy the off day with a 3-game sweep.
number, an adage historically reserved for old folks. But here, on this team, it's the youth looking up, feeling immortal, eyes wide with wonder, head full of dreams, knowing the sky's the limit.
A blast to left center. Sano crushes one. Wow. Buxton chasing it, leaping and making the catch against the center field fence. Here's a throw right on the money. He is out. Do not run on Eddie Rosario. To right center field, and Kepler has ended the game.
So much of the world belongs to the young. We chase the next and worship the latest. The Twins youth, some of the league's greatest.
And encouraging signs, not so much for Sano. He had a very good first week in the season this year, but Rosario's picked it up, Buxton's picked it up, and Kepler's picked things up over the last couple of weeks. They all, everybody who played seemed to have a nice night last night.
Well, Eddie Rosario, he's extended that hitting streak to 8 games, and every time he's played the Texas Rangers, all 13 times, I believe, he has gotten a hit in all 13 of those ball games. So good thing. And then, of course, Miguel Sano, what a play he made last night at third, coming in and then diving for the ball, along with a couple hits, one of them being a 436-foot home run. Byron Buxton, very good night. 4 very, very good at-bats, and that's got to build his confidence up. So good to see Byron get on base and do his thing.
And Paul Molitor enjoyed a good season record against the Rangers last year. Brian Dozier in the box. We're underway, and Cole Hamels delivers up high, ball 1.
Well, Hamels making his 5th start of the year. And this guy, the Twins beat him up last year. I'm sure he's on a mission. He made 2 starts against the Twins last year, and they were not very good. Probably 2 of the worst starts he had last year. He was 15-5 in 32 starts with a very good earned run average.
He couldn't get through 5 innings in either start. 1-1 to Dozier, and a tapper foul, 1-2. Menard's batting order for the Twins, all right-handed batters or switch hitters except for Rosario. It's Dozier, Polanco, Sano, Grossman, Vargas, Escobar, Jimenez, Rosario, and Buxton.
And they're facing Hamels. He's 6'4", about 205, 33 years old. In his 3rd season with the Rangers since coming over from the Philadelphia Phillies.
2-2. Dozier's average creeping up to near 250.
Dozier will see fastballs in the low 90s. Very good curveball. He'll mix in a little cutter. There's a high fastball right there.
Twins took a lot of early walks last night. Now, none of the guys who walked came around to score, but it kind of set the tone for the game and made last night's starter, Andrew Kashner, really work to the point of exhaustion early, and now Dozier draws a leadoff walk tonight.
And Hamels not a guy that has a history of control issues.
Northland Ford defense for the Rangers. Delino to Shields Jr. left, Carlos Gomez in center, Shin-Soo Choo in right. Gallo and Andrus on the left side of the infield. Odor, Rua on the right side with Chirinos behind the plate. And that'll bring up Polanco.
Polanco hitting a lot better from this side of the plate, hitting .346. 9 hits and 26 at bats.
Dozier feinted towards second, drew a throw from Hamels.
Hamels has a very good pickoff move. He's picked off 32 potential base stealers over his career.
Last night, Dozier drew a leadoff walk, and on the very next pitch was thrown out trying to steal second base. Pitch is up, ball 1, and Chirinos with an early trip to the mound. And Hamels wants a different baseball. David Rackley calling balls and strikes tonight. Chris Siegel's at first, Alfonso Marquez at second, and Chad Fairchild at third.
Hamels making his 6th career start against the Twins. We talked about the 2 last year. The other ones coming with the Philadelphia Phillies. He's 1-1 against the Twins, but a very high 6.91 earned run average.
One 1-0 to Polanco. Swing and a foul. Once here, once in Minnesota. The Twins, facing one of the top lefties in the game, handled him awfully well.
Yeah, he had back-to-back starts against the Twins, and the first one didn't go well, and you're thinking, okay, well, they beat me up the first time. I'm going to do better next time, but he did not. He allowed 5 runs in both of those starts.
And now lifted foul, out of play. 1-2. Rangers got Hamels in the middle of the 2015 season. Some people thought that the balance of his contract that he'd signed with the Phillies would be a detriment. The Rangers looked at it just the opposite way, that they had him under control for 3 more years, all of 2016, this year and next year, and an option that could vest for the following year. Outside. So the very thing that might chase some teams away, the money owed Hamels, and the Rangers thought, well, look, he's been healthy, he's been durable, he's been good. Why wouldn't we want someone like that in our rotation for the 3 years after the trade?
Well, he's pitched very well here at Global Life Park now.
And 4, 6, 3. Polanco just kind of stuck the bat out, hit it right at the second baseman, Odor. Twins and Rangers series on Fox Sports North is presented by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more.
Yeah, double play turned right there. That's the 6th double play turned behind Hamels so far. This is his 5th start.
Twins would like to have guys on base in any case, with Miguel Sano coming into the batter's box, but Sano's enjoyed hitting against Hamels. 2 for 3 for 3 walks, including a 3-run home run. And he takes inside ball 1. And Sano hitting a tape measure shot in the ball game last night.
Yeah, went out at 110 miles an hour exit velocity. 131 feet high, and then there was something else that I'm forgetting.
The launch angle. It was impressive. It was a tape measure shot.
Yes, it was.
A long one.
Yeah, but now they have it not only 437, they have everything else included.
Chopper foul. You know, we've seen that before. We've seen home runs like the one he hit last night before, as he really got into one and sent it into the second deck here. But what we haven't seen from him, Bert, the most encouraging thing, I think, is how well he's played at third base.
Oh, yeah.
And a liner to left. Sano continues to hit Hamels well, and the Twins have a base runner aboard for Robbie Grossman.
Well, that looked like the breaking ball right there, and credit Sano. The more at bats you see, you know, at the big league level, and the pitchers you see, that's a breaking ball stayed up, and he stayed back nicely and drove it into left field. So first hit for the Twins.
Grossman will hitting in the cleanup spot today. Left-handers this year are hitting .063 against Hamels in his career. He's always been very tough on lefties. This one slapped to right, and Chu is there to make the catch. Twins get a hit and a walk against Hamels. No damage done in the first. Play in starts and stops this year too. They had a 4-game sweep over the Royals. They haven't played particularly well against the Twins. Here's the Menards batting order for the Rangers. Delino DeShields leading off. Elvis Andrus, Carlos Gomez, Mike Napoli, Rougned Odor, Ryan Rua, Joey Gallo, Robinson Chirinos, and Shin-Soo Choo.
Then Hector Santiago making his 5th start. We mentioned 3 of his last starts have been quality starts, 3 of 4. A lot of career starts for a guy that has not that many major league starts, 121. This is his 18th career start against the Texas Rangers.
Here's Delino DeShields, and he takes inside ball 1. DeShields, like so many Texas players, off to a slow start at the plate. And Santiago delivers a strike. Starting lineup for the Rangers has batting averages in it of 167, 160, 183, 138.
Yeah, having a tough time getting going, hitting to only 210 as a ball club. That's 14th in the American League. There's only 15 teams. Kansas City hitting 201 as a ball club.
Kansas City lost again today to the White Sox. They were swept here, and then went to Chicago and got swept there. 3-1 now to DeShields. And a 5-pitch walk. Each starting pitcher starts with a leadoff walk. Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Rosario, Buxton, Grossman in the outfield. Sano and Polanco have been good on the left side of the infield. Dozier at second base. Vargas getting a start at first with the left-hander going, and Chris Jimenez making his 2nd start of this series. Elvis Andrus at the plate.
Must be something wrong with the baseballs. Hamels wanted a new baseball, and right there, Santiago asking for a new baseball.
We'll see if he can get a ground ball double play like Hamels did. Throw to first, and DeShields gets back.
Yeah, DeShields has some speed at first base. And I mentioned Hamels about all his pickoffs. Santiago, pretty good move. He's picked off 15 potential base stealers over his career.
DeShields goes. Jimenez with the throw, and it's high. DeShields has a stolen base.
Well, he stole that off of Santiago right there. He got a great jump. You know, left-handers have the advantage. They can lift up that right knee and kind of hold it for a second, but DeShields, he was off and running. As soon as Santiago lifted that knee up, he took off.
So a leadoff walk has DeShields and his speed at second base already.
DeShields steals his 3rd base of the year in 4 attempts.
1-0 to Andrus. And strike. Santiago with a really good ERA, 2.19. The Twins team has a really good earned run average, 3.39, or roughly a half run less than the American League average.
Yeah, right now they're currently 4th in the American League with that 3.39 ERA.
And DeShields to third. Jimenez with the throw. Got him. The Rangers made 3 outs on the bases last night against Irvin Santana, and DeShields swiping second easily. But Jimenez throws him out for the first out.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good decision right here. You see DeShields take off, and he didn't get the best of jump. And with nobody out, you know, the Rangers, they can score some runs. They've scored 89 runs to the Twins 85, but it's a bad decision right there by DeShields.
1 down, and the count 1-2 to Andrus. And of course, there's a base hit. DeShields would have scored, and Buxton gets it back to the infield. 1 out, 1 on. And before Gomez comes to the plate, let's go to Marty Gellner.
In our car scoop from the clubhouse tonight, Paul Molitor said that the Twins still don't know when the hearing will take place for Miguel Sano's appeal. He remains suspended for 1 game for his actions last Saturday, but he can still play until the appeal happens. And Kyle Gibson has struggled in his first 4 starts of the season, but Molitor said that Gibson will indeed make his next start, which will be Friday in Kansas City. And Hector Santiago is pitching with a bit of a heavy heart tonight because his grandmother died yesterday, and Santiago will be attending her funeral this weekend in New Jersey, so he'll likely be placed on the bereavement list for the Twins, and that'll be 3 to 7 days. It won't affect his next start, but the Twins can bring up a player while Santiago is on that list. So, guys, there will be a move made in the upcoming days here.
Yeah, our condolences, of course, to Hector Santiago and his family on losing a Grammy. She was 80 years old.
Nelly Rodriguez passed away. Inside, and Gomez now is up there with a 2-0 count. Twins have the luxury, I guess, of having an off day tomorrow to accommodate whatever move they make.
You know, coming into the year, Santiago has always averaged about 4 walks per 9, but I know he walked to Shields, but you know, so far so good. Coming into the ballgame, only 4 walks in 25 innings. But a little erratic right now.
And Gomez kept his helmet on. We've seen wild swings from Carlos over the years where he sprawls in the dirt and the helmet falls off.
He did the old Adrian Beltre type of home run, dropping to his right knee. And that's a guy that the Texas Rangers miss. They miss Adrian Beltre in their lineup. He's still out with that calf injury.
Hoping by now he would be back or on the verge of coming back, and neither one is the case.
Right.
Popped up right side.
Good fastball in.
Dozier with the catch. 2 away.
Both these pitchers here, both left-handers, will work inside to right-handers. You see where that pitch was. It kind of tied up Gomez as he got underneath that and popped it up to Dozier for the 2nd out.
Santiago informed the Twins last night about the loss of his grandmother, with whom he was very close, and the Twins, of course, gave him the option of not starting tonight. They had Nick Tepish, who could easily slide in. He was starting in the minor leagues, and Santiago said, no, I want to go. I want to pitch.
He wants to pitch for Grandma right here. He knows she's watching.
I don't know whether you had any similar experiences in your career. You had no grandparents or any other relatives pass.
No, I was very, very lucky.
Every player's different, and Santiago, the Twins hope, will be able to stay focused at the task at hand, give them a good start, and then he'll be dismissed for a few days. Napoli checks his swing, takes a strike.
Well, you know, as a pitcher, you're out there, or everyday player, you're always out there for yourself and your family. And of course, when you lose a loved one, it's difficult, but then you go out there and the memories are there. They'll always stay there. And now you say, you know what, I want to win this one for Grammy.
Almost seems inhumane or barbaric that up until recently there was no such thing as a bereavement list. And if a player needed to be away for a death in the family or what have you,
or a birth in the family,
right, there's a paternity list now. They almost felt guilty leaving the team for a while because they would leave them shorthanded. 2-1 to Napoli, and now 3-1 with Odor on deck.
Napoli brought over to create some power. He does have 3 home runs on the year, but only 3 hits in 17 at-bats against Santiago.
17 pitches, just 7 strikes for Santiago so far.
He's also walked Napoli 13 times. Big swing there on an off-speed pitch.
Napoli, it's feast or famine with high fastballs. We've seen the Twins strike him out regularly up there, but if he catches up to one, it's points on the board. That time Santiago threw him an off-speed pitch across the letters. Full count, and with 2 down, Andres will leave early from first. Vargas is holding him. foul.
And the defense for the Twins playing pretty deep, because Napoli, when he does hit the ball and he hits it sharply, he can hit a gapper. So the defense outfield playing a little bit deeper, because maybe that's why they're holding on the runner at first base, Andres.
Full count again. 20th pitch of the inning for Santiago. Time called at the plate. Twins have 10 wins on the year, 9 of them from their starting pitchers, which is a good indication that things have gotten better in the starting pitching rotation compared to recent years. Strike 3, clipped the corner.
On a changeup, good pitch.
And Santiago throws 20 pitches in the inning, gives up a hit and a walk, but no damage done. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities. And by State Farm. Combine auto and renters and see how much money you can save. Andy Vargas will lead things off. How about the weather here? It's what, it's 65 degrees or something like that?
Yeah,
now?
we're lucky.
People are wearing stocking caps and jackets here. They're shoveling snow in northern Minnesota, but people down here with 65 degrees are wearing stocking caps. Vargas off the end of the bat, and he rolls one up the middle for a base hit. Vargas has provided for the Twins what they had hoped, coming up from Rochester, and he's gotten on base a lot and has given the Twins a hot bat.
Yeah, he's 4 for 10 right now. He's also drawn a couple walks, and he gets a Hamels pitch right there, and lining it right back up the middle on the ground in the center field. Twins get their second hit.
And that'll bring up Eduardo Escobar, the designated hitter, not a normal role for Escobar. I see a Twins fan wearing a skull cap. Escobar takes a strike over the inside corner.
Well, you know, a lot of time the Twins are here in June or July, maybe August, where it's 100 degrees here. So, yeah, pretty nice weather.
Escobar drives it deep to left, and gone. A 2-run home run for Eduardo Escobar.
His second home run of the year.
If you're going to put me in the DH spot, I'll swing the bat like a DH.
Escobar, like Polanco, hitting better from the right side of the plate. Both his home runs coming from this side. Escobar just hoping that it stays fair. And it did. A big 2-run home run for Escobar. Twins take an early lead.
That made it something to smile about. Presented by Cricket. Jimenez taking outside a ball.
Hamels allowing his 4th home run of the year. This being his 5th start.
On the ground, hit right to the shortstop, Andrus. And Jimenez retired. The 18th home run for the Twins this year. Only the Red Sox and White Sox have fewer home runs in the American League.
How about the Red Sox? Well, they have 11 home runs, but they're hitting what, 280, 290 as a ball club?
Well, they're 11-8 coming into play today. But you'd expect that lineup to have at least one a game.
Right.
One down, that'll bring up Rosario. Bert mentioned his 8-game hitting streak he's bringing into the game. The only lefty in the lineup for the Twins, and Rosario lifts one foul. Twins coming into play today, 9th in the American League in runs scored. Their runs per game increasing here on this road trip. And I still believe, Bert, as some of these younger hitters are starting to get their feet on the ground figuratively, lifted to left, fairly deep, chased by DeShields in the corner, makes the catch, 2 down. But as Buxton and others are starting to get a little foundation under them, I think this lineup potentially could be in the top 5 in the league.
Yeah, you know, last night Buxton had, I think, 4 good at-bats. He walked in his first at-bat, got a base hit in the 4th, an RBI base hit in the 5th, where the Twins opened up the game, scored 7 runs. And then his last at-bat, he made that line drive. He hit it sharply, but to right field. I think that's the one that Roy Smalley liked the most, because it was to right field, because we've seen Byron try to pull everything.
He did pull a base hit yesterday, but it was an off-speed pitch, and so he was able to react to the off-speed pitch and line it into left for a base hit. But I would venture to say, Bert, that every plate appearance he's had in this series is better than any that he had the first 3 weeks of the season.
Well, confidence is a big thing, and he's not a guy that it doesn't seem like he gets down on himself, because he knows that he's going to be good. It's just sometimes you get frustrated and you expect more, and then you put a little more pressure on yourself. But just being around Byron, he's always upbeat.
2-1. I think he knows, though, that for this team to be good, he's got to be good. And I think the biggest thing that was bothering him the first 3 weeks of the season was he was letting his teammates down, letting the fans down, because he was off to such a poor start.
Well, you know, you can't worry about that. He was letting himself down. He's the one he has to answer to himself.
Hit to center and hit fairly well, but there is the center fielder, Gomez. Vargas singles, Escobar homers, and the Twins jump out in front 2-0. Bert mentioned that the Rangers really miss Adrian Beltre. Seems to be one of those players that makes everybody better, and he's the subject of our Sanford Health Injury Report.
I mean, look at his career numbers. 445 home runs. He's just a good hitter. You know, not only what he brings between the lines, it's what he brings in the clubhouse, too.
Strike one to Rougned Odor.
And it's different. You know, anybody that spent some time on a disabled list, you know exactly what I'm going to say. You know, you don't feel like you're part of the team, even though your body is there, you're not there. You want to be out there competing. I know he does.
And on the outside corner again, Santiago gets ahead 0-2. And there goes Sano swinging over to the right side of the infield. Oh, 2 to Odor. Rua and Gallo will follow. That's hit to center. Buxton back a couple of steps. Puts it away, 1 down. Somewhere, Globe Life Park here in Arlington is Marty Gilder.
And Dick, we talked earlier about Hector Santiago pitching today after his grandmother died yesterday. Her name was Nellie Rodriguez. She was 80 years old. And Hector wrote a little bit about his grandma and said that she was so brave and she was a great role model. And she always supported her family. She lived life to the fullest and always had a smile on her face no matter how hard times were. And Hector called her all around the greatest grandma that he could ask for and said that she supported Hector and the Minnesota Twins to the end.
Very nice. Thank you,
That's
Marty.
the part that I thought was curious. Hector doesn't have a whole lot of equity in the Twins organization. He just came to the Twins in July last year, but his grandmother, a big Twins fan, because her grandson was now a member of the Minnesota Twins. 2 strikes to Ryan Rua. Has hit Santiago very hard. 6 hits, 13 at bats. Off to a slow start this year. Fouled back.
Yeah, Rua, you know, playing time not that much yet, but 4 hits in 29 at bats. He picked up a hit in last night's game. Young man has some power in those arms.
Checked his swing, and it's 1-2. Just as an aside, Rua last night hit a ball down the left field line. In fact, on the left field line, and it was ruled, I think, correctly a fair ball. He had a single. Twins got the benefit of a nice carom in front of Rosario, who threw Rua out at second base. Right back to the mound, and Santiago has an easy play.
Another good changeup right there by Santiago, and his game plan basically. And you know, he pitched against us in the WBC in LA for the Puerto Rican team, and I'll tell you what, he threw a lot of fastballs to our team, and he very, very impressive. And I think what I've seen now in the last 4+ starts is he's establishing the fastball, and then you saw what that changeup does right there. Rule way out front.
Here's Joey Gallo with 2 gone. Outside,
there's
ball
a
1.
fastball.
Fouled back. Back to Rua just to wrap up the story. I checked with Thad Levine, the general manager of the Twins, and Paul Molitor, and they both said, yeah, the Rangers, if they felt that the ball was foul, they can challenge a call that went in their favor initially if it would have preserved Rua's at bat. It's never happened in the days of challenges, but if
I'm Rua, I'm really upset if my club's saying, hey, you know what, you want to take a hit away from me when he was what, 3 for 26?
But if it's a 2-1 ball game and you're trying to preserve outs,
I don't care. I want my hit.
Well, hang with them. And eventually, you know, it'll happen where someone getting a favorable ruling from the umpire will challenge it and send the hitter back in the box. The count is 2-2 to Joey Gallo. A long way. It's a pretty foul.
Well, you saw Jimenez right there where he sat up. And that ball hit into what, the 3rd, 4th deck here, but that ball was a mistake, and sometimes as a pitcher you get away with it. Look where Jimenez wants that ball. Look where it ended up. Belt high down the heart of the plate.
And now 3-2. Speaking of Thad Levine, he's going to join us in a couple innings. Talk about his days here in Texas. Start to this year's Twins team. Full count. And now ball 4. Second walk issued by Santiago, and that'll bring up Chirinos.
They tried a 3-2 breaking ball right there, missed down and away.
Chirinos just 18 at bats on the year, but 7 hits, including a double and 4 home runs. Look at that OPS. Gallo aboard. He can run a little bit. The Twins need to be aware of him over there. Inside, ball 1.
Chirinos, in his 5th season with the Rangers, came up with the Tampa Bay Rays in 2011. Career .230 hitter coming into this year, but off to a great start. Jonathan Lucroy, the everyday catcher here, mainly.
Two 2-0 now to Chirinos. Popped up, backing out of play.
Hector making his 18th career start, his 21st appearance against the Texas Rangers. His first major league save came against the Rangers. Back in 2012 when he was with the Chicago White Sox.
Missing down and in, and it's 3-1 with Shin-Soo Choo on deck. Mentioned that Santiago's history has been one full of walks, and he's done a nice job tightening that up this year, but he, first time through the order at least, is having some issues. 40th pitch of the ball game for Santiago. Driven to left, and Rosario fields it on a hop. Chirinos has been swinging it so far this year, and I'm not sure he can hit the ball any harder than he did. It almost looked like it had topspin and ends up as a single.
Boy, we fall behind an account. You know, the number 8 hitter, you don't want to make a mistake. That ball right down the heart of the plate. Chirinos put a good swing on it. Hit it so hard that Gallo could only go to second base.
Santiago's faced 8 men. 4 of them have reached 2 walks and 2 singles. Now the number 9 batter tonight, Shin-Soo Choo, who normally hits in the top of the Texas lineup, with lefty-lefty. And Choo hitting 9th today with 2 men on and 2 away.
Yeah, Choo only 6 hits and 32 at-bats against Santiago. A 188 batting average.
Pitch strike.
Choo from South Korea first came to the big leagues with the Cleveland Indians.
Off the plate, 1-1.
Excuse me, came to the big leagues with the Seattle Mariners. Then he went to Cleveland. Cincinnati in his 4th season in Texas.
Fouled away, and Santiago gets ahead 1-2. 4 prior starts for Santiago. The only one not a quality start was just short of a quality start. In his first start of the year, 5 innings, 1 run allowed against the Royals.
He ended up getting a win in that ball game. 9-1 was the final score.
1-2 to Chu. Gallo scampers back. That's to left center field. And Rosario comes in to put it away. Rangers get a couple on, leave them there. And Brian Dozier will lead off the third for the Twins. On Fox Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Twins trying to sweep the Rangers in a 3-game series for the first time since 1976, September of 1976. The biggest event of that 1976 season was the Twins trading Bert Blyleven from the Twins to the Texas Rangers. So you were in the other dugout when the Twins came down here at the old ballpark and swept your Rangers.
Yeah, I don't remember the sweep, but I do remember, I believe that's in that series, 3-game series, that Steve Luber at the old stadium here in Arlington pitched he had a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and Roy Howell got a base hit to center field to break up the no-hitter. Steve Luber, right-handed pitcher.
Dozier skies one to center field. Gomez streaking in. And now drifting back, making the catch, 1 away. Let's get the big story tonight from Marty Gelner.
Well, that big story is last night the Blue Jays were in St. Louis and Chris Coghlan was on first base, and look at him go up and over Yadier Molina. A dive roll, and the Blue Jays needed the run too. They won 6-5 in extra innings. And in Cleveland, Houston Astros center fielder Josh Reddick makes a great catch here to rob Jason Kipnis of a home run. Reddick is usually a right fielder, but he was in center because of injuries, and he pulled one back there, and the Astros beat the Indians 4-2.
How about Chris Coghlan, what he did? My goodness.
How do you react? I mean, you're coming in from third base, and suddenly the catcher's got the ball there. How do you react that quickly and think, I think I'll jump over the catcher? Forget the physical tools you need to do that. How can that even be in your consciousness?
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be right there. Did he think about that as he rounded third? Okay, if it's a close play, I'm going to jump over Yadier Molina.
Polanco takes outside, and it's 2-1. Polanco grounded into a double play in the first inning. It's hit to center. Gomez going back with room. Out number 2.
Well, Hamels has made a lot of starts. This is his 343rd career start. And saw when his arsenal basically with the Phillies. You saw a fastball, pretty much the same, maybe more breaking balls now. But this guy's been a workhorse. Last 7 seasons, he's worked 200 innings or more, and 8 out of the last 9 major league seasons, he's been that workhorse.
Sano takes ball 1. Rangers gave up left-hand pitcher Matt Harrison, catcher, a couple of other pitchers.
They gave up 6 players.
Yep. Sano rifles it to right field.
That?
3 hits yesterday and 2 early hits here tonight. That'll get Grossman to the plate.
Boy, that's good hitting right there. That's when a hitter's really seeing the ball well. Just taking that ball the other way. Ball outside, outer half of the plate. Stayed back nicely and lined it into right center.
And now Grossman, who hit a fly ball to right his first time up. He has been on base a lot. He's been very much in the middle of things for the Twins, both offensively and in the field. Grossman takes inside a ball. No, back to the mound, and Hamels turns and fires, and that takes care of the Twins in the 3rd. They lead it 2-0. Leading 2-0. Everybody at Willie McCoy should be enjoying it. Eduardo Escobar, the designated hitter, hammering a 2-run home run, and now Delino DeShields will lead off the 3rd for Texas against Santiago.
Hey, Hector needs a quick inning. In last night's ball games, Santana, who won his 4th game of the year, threw 102 pitches. He didn't have 1 inning of 20 or more. And so far, 2 innings by Santiago, 20 in the first, 24 last inning.
Paul Molitor was talking today about Santiago and where he's improved from the pitcher he was with the Twins last year, and he said specifically 2nd and 3rd time through the order he's been much better with his command. a lot of the walks you referenced would come the second and third time through the order after he'd faced the lineup once. But he says so far this year, he's done a really good job facing the lineup the second and third time and continuing to pound the strike zone. That said, now he's got a 3-1 count to DeShields.
Well, you have to come in as a pitcher. You don't want to walk that leadoff hitter, especially a speedster like DeShields. You want him to earn his way on, so you have to pepper a fastball right down the heart of the plate and hopefully pops it up.
Rosario will try to get there, and DeShields is held to a single because of Rosario's retrieval of the ball in the corner. Leadoff man's on in the third. May 16th is Scrubs Night at Target Field. A limited number of Scrubs Night theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and a Twins scrub top. Go to twinsbaseball.com/scrubs to learn more about the Scrubs Night theme night offer.
Now DeShields stole a base off of Hector in the second pitch that he's threw toward home plate. See how Santiago goes about his business, trying to hold him on a little closer, I'm sure, here. Quick pitch.
High fly to left, playable for Rosario. One down, and Andres is quickly retired.
Hey, quick pitched him right there. Didn't come up with a high leg kick.
One down.
It's almost like a slide step for a right-hand pitcher. You can see it didn't bring the knee up, and Andres popped it up.
Pretty much threw a cutter down the middle of the plate. Andres got himself out. Here's Gomez. DeShields did steal second, and then he was thrown out trying to steal third. And it might have been a case of a team struggling to create something offensively, trying to do too much. Jimenez threw him out at third. Another slide step and another strike.
Good off-speed pitch there.
Gomez just stood there and took a pitch just in off the plate. 1-1.
A big part of Santiago's pitching routine is pitching inside, and he's just missing that inner part of the plate. He's thrown 3 or 4 or 5 of them inside that have been called balls.
Last night, Gomez still has a lot of energy, and that's what I think we'll always remember about him. Twins pretty much were forced to trade Johan Santana. They got Gomez, but at the same time they saw Torrey Hunter leave through free agency, and they needed some energy. They needed a center fielder, and Gomez served well in both capacities.
Cat and mouse game going on between DeShields and Santiago. Another quick slide step toward home.
Last night, Danny Duffy of the Royals was called for a balk because in the umpire's judgment he did not come to a complete stop in the stretch position. Of course, Santiago, also a left-hander, needs to make sure that as much as he wants to vary it out there, he can't be too quick. Away, 2-2. A A concerted effort by the Twins this year to do a better job controlling the running game of the opponents. And that's all part of it. Pitchers out there who buying into changing their rhythm out there, not being predictable. Catchers who can throw the ball to second base in the air. Swing and a miss. Gomez tried to tie the game up, and instead he's out number 2.
And second strikeout for Hector. This time he went with the high leg kick, threw that fastball past Gomez, up in the strike zone at 91 miles an hour.
55 pitches for Santiago. Now he's going after Napoli. Struck him out his first time up. Twins have a pull shift in the infield end for Napoli. Outfield playing him straight up and deep.
Now, this is a guy you have to really focus on too at home plate. You can't worry that much about the Shields now with 2 outs. Does throw over. You have to respect this guy's potential power in this at bat.
Up and away, ball 1.
Not as sharp as we've seen him over the last 3. Too many strike ball ratio is not good at all. 31 strikes, 25 balls for Santiago, 56 pitches.
Only 2 walks, but a lot of deep counts. And there's a called strike, 1-1.
There's that fastball inside. I think Napoli maybe questioning that fastball and the location.
Not close, 2-1. Probably just a look off into the distance, but it was in the general direction of the Twins dugout. I don't know if somebody was barking some suggestions from the Twins dugout or not. 2-1. Fastball, and Napoli swings and misses, and if Santiago throws the same pitch in the same spot, Napoli could catch up to that pitch. We've seen him do it.
We saw Jimenez, the catcher, sitting inside. But good fastball though, up in the zone.
Got him up higher. Leadoff single, no damage done. On to the 4th. Twins up 2-0. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Minnesota, and instead it's a nice spring night in Texas. We got the low 60s. The Twins are leading 2-0. Kenny Vargas hit a home run last night, started the 2-run second with a single in the second, and he'll lead off the 4th inning. And we're happy to have General Manager Thad Levine, who's spent a lot of time here with the Texas Rangers, was involved in the acquisition of Cole Hamels, and saw the Rangers get to the World Series a couple of times, get to the playoffs on a regular basis. Thad, thanks for stopping by and saying hi.
Fond memories.
Repeat that answer, because we didn't have your microphone turned
Oh, I'm
on.
sorry. I appreciate the intro. Those were some fond memories of being here, but it's.
Oh, we didn't hear that either.
It's good to be on the other side of the ledger now.
Well, you have to be happy. The team is off to a decent start, 10-10. Nobody's going to, get too excited about that, but certainly better than the start last year. How would you assess the first 20 games of the season?
I felt as if I learned a lot from Ron Washington when he was the manager with the Texas Rangers, and he always said if you're truly one pitch, one catch, or one hit away in a game, that you're close to doing something special. And I feel as if through the first 20 games, there have been a few games that we were knocked out a little bit early, but outside of those games, we really have truly been competitive right to the last. Now, that doesn't mean we've triumphed in every single one of those games, but I think we've been competitive. We've been playing fundamental baseball. That's what I evaluate. Whether we were 10-10 or something slightly different is a little bit secondary to me. I think that's putting ourselves in positions to win games, and that's the most important thing at this stage.
2-2 to Vargas, and it's dribbled to the right side, and Rua feeds Hamels. Vargas is retired 1-1.
Thad, what's the biggest thing you've learned? I mean, all your years here, you've had some great mentors. And now you're carrying it into the Twins.
I feel like I got a chance to be around a lot of terrific people while I was here. And, certainly I'd start with John Daniels. He was my boss, my mentor, but also a great friend throughout my time here. When we started this segment, you guys talked about the acquisition of Cole Hamels. And I think one thing that I hope to take away from my time with the Texas Rangers and bring to the Minnesota Twins is a undying pledge to try to put a championship caliber team on the field. And I think that in Texas, we ended up making a lot of trades, some aggressive trades. Quite frankly, have a lot of players who are not playing for the Texas Rangers anymore that are performing extremely well elsewhere, but it was always in the name of trying to put a better team on the field. And I think what is all too popular when you're in these positions is you get into a position where you're more concerned about your self-preservation. It's so tough to get these jobs. You want to hold on to them as desperately as you can. And I just would say that one thing that we did in Texas, and I learned from John, and one thing I'd like to pledge to the fans of Minnesota is we're never going to put our own job security ahead of trying to put a championship club on the field. And whether that's now or in the future, that will always be our focus.
Escobar, the batter, swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Well, your history here in recent years and Derek's history in Cleveland, if you're in contention around the trade deadline, the history would suggest you want to go for it, right? I mean, and Twins fans might be getting ahead of themselves, but if the Twins find themselves around the 500 mark, around the trade deadline, and if there's a possible wild card spot to win, what can they look forward to?
Well, I think our jobs are to properly assess where we are in that kind of competitive cycle. But you don't want to take winning lightly. If you get an opportunity to win and it's a little bit ahead of time, as you had planned, I think you got to seize the opportunity. You got to let your players tell you that they may be a little bit closer, a little bit more ready than you had anticipated. And I just feel as if from our office we communicate that we believe in the team and we think that there's a chance that they're going to win, then they are going to have a chance to win. If you kind of start disseminating the word that you don't believe in your club, I think it's hard to expect that they're going to go out there and fight tooth and nail every single night and do what it takes to win what will be a very competitive division. So I think first things first, you have to make a statement that you believe in your team, and part of that statement, quite frankly, is making moves at the deadline to support them. Now, they ultimately then have to go out and win the games. We don't have any delusions about that. But if we can do what we can do, hopefully that will inspire them to step up and do exactly what they're capable of doing.
I've been on clubs, Thad, that, you get to the trading deadline that you're talking about right there, and everybody in the clubhouse is saying, we need this guy, we need that guy, but then we got there because of who we had. Right. And I remember when they traded Tom Bernansky, we had a great chemistry, but then we brought in somebody else that didn't fit in as well.
Well, I think you bring up an exceptional point is you know, just to bring in somebody who may be 1%, 2% better than the player that's walking out the door, I don't believe in that, because I think every move has a disruption to it. And if you don't take into consideration what that player meant to the team from a chemistry standpoint, I think you're doing a team a huge disservice. It's maybe easier to weather those types of storms in the offseason, but when you're in the thick of a fight and you take somebody out of the equation who means a lot to that club, whether it's on the field or in the clubhouse, I think you're doing the team a disservice. So it's incumbent upon Derek and myself to be in constant communication with Paul and his staff to make sure we don't make those types of mistakes. And then I think what you brought up is very important too. You know, what happens first? Does the team inspire you to go out and make a trade, or do you inspire the team by going out and to make a trade? I think there's a delicate balance there, and I think, you know, you just got to start with a feel and the communication with the staff to see who really needs to make the first move there. Ideally, the team inspires you to make the move, you make the move, and that only enhances the performance of the club on the field.
You know, there is a precedent in Minnesota in the mid to late 80s. There were some new executives brought in from the outside, Andy McPhail, Bob Gebhardt, guys like that. And they were exactly where you are right now, you and Derek, and they were trying to get organized, and they ended up winning the World Series in 1987. So I don't want to put any pressure on you or anything like that.
That sounds glorious when you say that. And, you know, Andy McPhail going into the Hall of Fame this year, and I'm sure that's long overdue for Minnesota Twins fans. Somebody who everyone in the game reveres. And then Bob Gebhardt was one of the first people I got a chance to treat as a mentor. He's always been exceptionally kind. So
with the Rockies?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly right. And so I think these are guys whose legacies live on with the Minnesota Twins, and they've touched myself, and I'm sure Derek's had interactions with the two of them as well. So their legacies live on with the Twins.
Jimenez with a nice plate appearance. He ends up at first base. And that'll get Rosario to the plate with a man aboard.
Yeah, second walk for Hamels in the ball game.
Let's talk as quickly as we can, because we got 2 outs. But I mentioned when the Rangers got Hamels, a lot of people thought, well, the balance of his contract would be a deterrent. And the Rangers looked at it just the other way, didn't they?
We did. We started the conversation with assessing what the free agent classes for starting pitchers were going to be for the upcoming 2 seasons. And we felt that his contract and what was remaining on it actually was going to be very competitive, if not a bargain, for what he was delivering. And you said it was going to be a short conversation.
Can you stick with us for another half inning?
Please.
Happy to.
All right. Twins are done in the 4th. They're leading 2-0. The start, his ERA is down below the 2.19 it started with. Dick Bramer, Burt Blyleven joined in the middle by Twins general manager Thad Levine. We've talked a little bit about this, Thad. The priority seemed to be, once you and Derek took the reins of the organization, to improve the catching. And in that regard, you've got to be happy. Jimenez, who you were familiar with here in Texas, Derek was in Cleveland. He and Jason Castro have each done a nice job controlling the other running game. There were 20 throwouts last year for Twins catchers. Here's Odor with a first pitch single. And with Jimenez throwing out a runner today at third base, there have been 7 throwouts and 17 attempts.
You know, the goal was really to try to improve the pitching, and I think one of the areas where the game has really evolved is our understanding of how much the catchers can impact the game. You know, globally speaking, I think we have a much better handle on how defense impacts the game and how to measure that, but the catching in specific. And we did have a history with Chris Jimenez. We knew he was a solid receiver, great game caller, guy who develops chemistry with pitchers, you know, just happenstance. But when he was here in Texas, he was the guy that Yu Darvish and Cole Hamels wanted to throw to. Obviously had a track record last year with Trevor Bauer in Cleveland. Right. So he's that type of guy. In addition, he has tremendous makeup. So he's one of those guys who brings a lot of levity to the clubhouse, a lot of temerity and grit. And Jason Castro, I think, has been long regarded as one of the better receivers in the game, a guy who, you know, people referred to as a pitching coach on the field. And with the kind of youth throughout our pitching staff, both here present and what we anticipate bringing up at some point in the year, we thought it would be very valuable to have 2 veterans behind the plate who had the ability to help Neil Allen and Eddie Guardado manage the game while they're on the field. And both those guys have done a tremendous job so far. I give them a ton of credit, and I think Paul's managed these guys perfectly, where, you know, he's dropping these guys in, keeping them fresh, giving them both real shots to impact the club, and they both have delivered.
Yeah, we just showed Castro, and he's kind of looking at the outfield, talking to, I believe that's Jeff Smith down there, just about situations. So even though he's not in the ball game, he's still talking baseball.
And I think you highlight another guy as part of the equation. Jeff Smith comes up from our minor league system, actually was a catcher here in the Texas Rangers system, longtime manager, and he's helping our catching acumen, working with Joe Vavra, who's worked with our catchers in the past. So we really have 2 coaches on the staff who are able to impact our catchers, and we have 2 veteran catchers. That combination, I think, has proved to be a pretty significant upgrade for the Minnesota Twins.
You know, you look at the youngsters, you know, Rosario, Buxton, Kepler, Alonco, Sano, now Vargas up. They're just getting their feet wet. You know, I mean, you're talking about, you know, the future. This is the future.
Well, you know, somebody asked me a question earlier on a radio show, what do you think of your farm system? I said, I think our farm system's here. You know, these are a lot of our prospects. I mean, you guys know, you've watched a lot of baseball games. Like, guys don't typically show up and prove immediately who they are. Those guys are the ultra elite players. But you look around the field and you've got a lot of guys who haven't even entered their prime. You know, their prime is somewhere between ages 23 and 30, and a lot of these guys are just entering that or on the south side of that. So I look at it as we've got a lot of prospects on this team, a lot of promising prospects, but I look at that as kind of an extension of our farm system. I think it's a tribute to what our amateur scouts have done, our professional scouts, and our international scouts to put this caliber of talent on the field all at once. It's now up for us to maximize it.
And sometimes it's not always age. You said 25 to 30. Sometimes it's the amount of at-bats they get.
Absolutely. I mean, you look around the field, and the sheer group of guys here who have fewer than 600 to 800 plate appearances, which, you know, by and large, they say for position players, somewhere between that 750 and 1,000 plate appearances where they really start maturing into the type of offensive player they're going to be. A lot of our guys haven't even gotten to that threshold yet.
When we had a chance to chat about that during Twins Fest, the example I used, and you saw it develop and flourish here, Nelson Cruz, who's now considered to be one of the top sluggers in the game. He bounced around from a couple of different organizations, finally got a chance to play regularly here, and then at some point the light bulb went off and there he went.
And I think what you're talking about is just tremendous jobs by scouts. You know, those guys don't get a chance to thrive in the major leagues if you don't have a scout pounding the table and saying, I'm prepared to buck the trend. You know, you're talking about a guy who's 26 years old in the minor leagues. The track record of guys coming to the big leagues when they're turning 27 and turning into the player that Nelson Cruz has become is few and far between. If you always play to what are the rules in the game and you never look at the exceptions, you're never going to be pleasantly surprised. And so I think, that's a golfing adage. If you're always hitting it down the fairway, you may not always be going the shortest route to the hole. And sometimes you got to take some chances. We're going to take some chances. There are going to be some calculated chances. There are going to be educated chances. But we're prepared to play in those ends of the spectrum where they may be a little bit more, higher risk, but you hope they also have a chance to be higher reward. Nelson Cruz was high risk, but he was very much high reward. the team benefited from that, but it all started with a scout standing up and saying, hey, this is a guy I believe in. I believe in his makeup. I believe in the track record. You know, one thing about Nelson Cruz, which was unique, was he was a basketball player. He was a basketball player in the Dominican Republic. The New York Mets saw him play basketball and asked him if he had ever played baseball. The answer was pretty much no. They said, why don't you come out to the field and try out? He ends up trying out and they sign him. So he started a little bit behind the 8 ball. Our scouts were savvy enough to know that and know about his family and how strong a nuclear family he had, which you guys probably can attest to, especially when you're talking about, well, really any player, but Latin American players in particular. When they have strong nuclear families and strong support systems, they're in a much better position to succeed in what is a game of failure at the big league level.
I just watched at Santiago a couple of times to Gallo here. He's dropped down 3/4.
Hook foul, 2-2. Before this inning ends, and we hope Santiago can get a ground ball double play here, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the draft. Twins in an enviable spot, I guess, because they've got the #1 overall pick. We hear about Hunter Green. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated this week. What can you tell us? What can you tell us about where the Twins are sitting right now?
You know, I think when you go into a draft, there's really one of two approaches you're taking. One is that there's a clear-cut #1 talent, you know, unequivocal. Everybody who would be picking one would take Bryce Harper, for argument's sake. Or, you know, you have a chance to, like, build a class of players. And so I think this is one of those types of drafts that yet to emerge as that guy who's the unequivocal #1 pick. So we're going to continue to evaluate. We're going to continue to scout. Sean Johnson, Mike Radcliffe, and their group has done an exceptional job out there, blanketing the country. I think we're going to be able to pivot when time is required to do that. Guy that we're going to take with the first pick in the draft. It's all really close to the draft.
A walk to Joey Gallo, first and second, 1 down.
So you're saying there's no Bryce Harper out there or Mike Trout that really, I mean, you say, boy, this is our guy.
You know, I guess I would be remiss in saying, like, maybe we'll find out, you know, 10 years down the road that there was that guy. As we all know, no one knew Mike Trout was in the draft until he ultimately proved to be who he was. And, you know, kudos to the Anaheim Angels for selecting him. But, you know, the crazy story, of course, is they even passed on him as they took somebody else before him. So I'm not sure, you know, there's some guesswork associated with this. There isn't somebody who I think jumps out at this stage, but we still have, you know, 6 weeks till the draft, and I think we're open-minded to that person emerging. I can tell you this, we're going to be very ecstatic with whomever we take with the first pick in the draft, and we'll be very confident that they will be part of the solution here as we try to win the Central year in and year out.
Batter is Robinson Chirinos. Singled sharply to left his first time up against Santiago with 2 on and 1 out, and there's strike 1. Well, as nice as it is, I guess, to have that in your pocket, the #1 overall pick, let's hope you don't have that again for many years.
Our goal is to never pick one again. You know, and you know, you bring that up, but that has been a success model recently. You know, the Houston Astros, the Chicago Cubs did an excellent job rebuilding their franchises. Really 2 ways. One was through the draft and picking very high for a number of years in a row, but also through extremely smart trades and free agent acquisitions, ultimately when they were ready to strike. So that is a model that works. I think just something that Derek and I talked to Jim Pohlad and Dave St. Peter about, and that's not something we're aspiring to do. We don't aspire to lose 100-plus games for multiple seasons and take advantage of the draft process.
Boy, am I glad you said that. There's a high fly to the left field corner. Rosario watching it drift back into the seats.
You know, and that's not to diminish the strategies of other teams that have employed that and clearly have had success. It's just not the route we're hoping to go.
Chirinos at the plate, and the count 0-2. Santiago could use a strikeout here with 2 men on and only 1 out.
Again, a lot of pitches. This will be pitch number 75 for Hector. You know, I was watching as we were talking to you, Thad. The way he pitched to Gallo, he really didn't want any part of it. That was kind of like, you know, hey, I fell behind 3-1. I'm not going to make a mistake. I'm going to take a chance here, maybe get a ground ball double play.
You know, one other area that we've kind of invested in the infrastructure, a little something behind the scenes, is our advanced scouting. Jeremy Hefner, who was a former big league pitcher, has joined the organization. He works hand in hand with Neil Allen, with James Rouse, and with Jeff Pickler, and trying to refine our whole preparation for games and strategy. And so I can assure you, if Hector Santiago is appearance-wise pitching around the guy, maybe strategically done so, and as you guys know, some of these veteran guys are savvy at doing that. We may be less inclined to ask a younger guy to do that, but as far as Hughes and Santiago and Santana are concerned, like, that's something they have in their hip pocket, and sometimes it's a pretty good weapon to use.
And I have not seen Hector drop down. I think 4 of the 5 pitches he dropped down sidearm to Gallo, thinking, because Gallo in his first at bat, he had a long foul ball on a pitch that was pretty much right there down the heart of the plate. He hasn't done that since. I mean, he's walked Gallo a couple times.
Well, between the 2 third basemen, there's a generous carriage and man strength between the two
Yes,
men. I was actually talking to Joey Gallo before the game, and he was marveling at Miguel Sano and asked if he had looked in a mirror recently. These guys are oversized humans who actually are both plus athletes at the hot corner. Big assets for their teams, and going to be fun guys to watch develop at the major league level here for years to come.
We were talking about it the other day. First game here was windy, and I said, hey, the third baseline's not going anyplace with those guys standing there.
Yeah. Those guys have epic power plus arms and really play the game with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. They're fun to watch.
1-1 to Shin-Soo Choo, and Santiago's trying to strand 2 more runners. The Rangers have left 4 men on through 3 innings. Trying to nurse a 2-0 lead. There's a called strike, 1-2. You mentioned Jeremy Hefner. He's on this road trip, and that's kind of what advanced scouts do now, right? They don't advance the next team by traveling to that team, watch them in person, but they watch video.
It's exactly right. I think there's been a little bit of a shift in the game. What we try to do is we complement what Jeremy's doing, which is a lot of that is watching games on video and charting games and using data sources that we buy into.
How about that?
And then we marry it up with some pro scouts on the field so that they get that look from the field.
Nice going. You started the appearance here with a 2-0 lead, and you left with a 2-0 lead. That's pretty good.
I'm honored. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Nothing Twins lead, and Pepsi fans of the game enjoying water at the time being and enjoying a Twins lead. I'm guessing those kids are oblivious to the fact that the Twins are leading 2-0. They're just having a good time.
I tell you what, even though Thad was here, I was watching Santiago go about his business. He struck out the side that inning after giving up the base hit and then the walk to Gallo. He pitched that inning. That was fun to watch.
Buxton shows bunt and takes strike 1, and now it's a base hit to right field. Man, this is just such a relief to see Byron Buxton regularly getting on first base.
Well, it looked like an off-speed pitch, something away, and he didn't try to pull it. Just kind of got the barrel of the bat out there and hit it softly into right field.
So Buxton aboard. Twins haven't done any running against Hamels. That might change. Dozier at the plate. He's walked and hit a fly ball to center. Dozier with the big at-bat 2 nights ago, a 3-run double, providing just enough run support for the Twins to win the opener. And now Dozier bunts it up the line. Foul. 1 strike to Brian Dozier. Twins fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app, take Fox Sports North and Twins baseball with you wherever you go. Unimpressed. Gallo's still even with the bag at third base.
Yeah, but he's creeping in. Okay, Hamels has that little bit of hesitation when he brings that right leg up, and that's one reason maybe he has 32 career pickoffs.
Twins are 9 for 11 in stolen base attempts. Buxton 2 for 2. Buxton trying to peer around the third baseman Gallo. That's how big he is. Trying to get the signs from Gene Glenn. Dozier takes low, 1-1. You remember what it was like in '87. You were recently back with the ball club, and the Twins brought in some people from outside the Twins organization. Carl Pohlad brought in Andy McPhail, Bob Gebhardt, there were some others. Ralph Houck was brought in as an advisor. We're trying to assess, you know, what they had and what changes needed to be made, and they ended up winning the World Series.
Well, you know, Dick, it really started at the latter part of '86 when Tom Kelly took over.
Right.
And the Twins organization did a great job of bringing in guys that winter, like Newman and Jeff Reardon and Keith Atherton and guys like that.
And then in spring training, late in spring training, Glad. That rolls away briefly from Chirinos. And now it's 3-1 to Dozier. And maybe an example of what Buxton's speed means in a situation like this. Hamels thrown over a couple of times, fallen behind Dozier. The only strike that he's recorded to Dozier is when Dozier tried to bunt. Now he's put a powerful hitter in a favorable count. And he got a good cut and tapped one foul. In that 1987 season, throughout the summer, no team really ran away with anything, and the Twins found themselves in the race, ended up with a strong push toward the end to win it. So far, that's how it's played out in the American League Central. Buxton goes. Ball hit sharply on the ground. Buxton to second.
Maybe stayed out of a double play with Buxton taking off right there.
Odor's able to make the play to first, and Buxton advances to second. Thanks to Toyota, let's get caught up.
But Eduardo Escobar, his second home run of the year. His second as a right-handed hitter, and the DH here tonight, designated hitter, gave Hector Santiago a 2-0 lead. And so far, even though the pitch count is high, Hector Santiago has pitched 4 shutout innings.
And now Polanco trying to get a hit to the outfield that would almost certainly score Buxton. Corner infielders are up. Why are they pinching so close? Because Buxton threatened to bunt, Dozier threatened to bunt. Why is Rua in on the grass at first base? I don't understand that. sharply hit. Oh, great catch by Gallo. Turns it into a double play. Polanco hit a rocket headed for the left field corner, but Gallo picked it off.
Water, Minnesota, you are hereby circled. And Twin fans, don't forget at Twin home games, you bring your Circle Me signs. You may find yourself in a Minnesota Lottery winner circle where you could win $100 worth of lottery scratch-off tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery. Well, Polanco hit this ball as hard as he could right there, but nice play by Gallo, and then of course, you're kind of in no man's land where Buxton was. That ball, you know, down the line, he's going to score easily. He got caught off at second base.
You take your lead, you take your secondary lead, and you blink, and the third baseman's got the ball. And DeShields takes outside a ball. 1-1.
We'll see if Heck can keep this guy off the bases. He walked him to lead off the bottom of the first inning. Then DeShields got a base hit in the third inning.
Up and away, 2-1.
Just not as sharp tonight as we've seen Hector in his first 3 or 4 starts. 82 pitches, only 49 strikes.
And now up high, Jimenez steps in front of the plate and flips it back. Delivered strike one. Now 3 straight out of the zone. And of course, if there's anybody in this Texas lineup he doesn't want on the bases, it's DeShields. Anthony's 3-2.
Remember in his last at bat, DeShields in the third inning, same count, 3-1. And as a pitcher, again, you don't want to walk this guy as he did in the first inning. Basically, outer half of the plate. Hopefully he'll pop it up this time. Instead, it's ball 4.
And the leadoff man is on for the 4th time tonight. And somewhere here at Globe Life Park, Marty Gellner. Let's hear from her.
I had an interesting conversation in the clubhouse today with catcher Chris Jimenez, who was talking about this Texas team, how these hitters like the ball low in the zone, and that's where they do a lot of their damage. And so the strategy tonight for Hector Santiago was going to be, and is, to get the ball up. And that sounds kind of strange, keep the ball up. You don't hear that very often. But Jimenez said that he's seeing a trend in baseball where hitters are really trying to get on the same plane with the ball, and they're hitting the ball lower in the zone. And even Jimenez said sinker ball pitchers are not as successful as they used to be because guys are doing that. And so now pitchers are having to throw up in the zone, which used to be one of the cardinal sins for a pitcher, except for a changeup. Hector's changeup and off-speed stuff tonight should be low, but I'm wondering what you think of that, in particular, Bert, about a new strategy perhaps of pitchers challenging hitters up in the zone more often.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you kind of taught to pitch down, especially with that fastball, but you look at the Rangers lineup. I mean, a lot of these guys have that uppercut swing, especially the left-handers like Gallo. You know, he has that uppercut swing. Mazzara, the right fielder, even though he's not in the ball game, he has that uppercut swing. So yeah, sometimes you have to pitch to the club that you're facing, and it does seem like the Texas Rangers ball club, they like that ball down. They want to hit it a country mile. They are leading the American League in home runs.
Andrus with 2 strikes takes one inside.
You know, they're hitting only .210, but they've hit 29 home runs, the most in the American League.
DeShields stealing second quickly after the leadoff walk.
Now, Santiago does have 6 strikeouts.
Chopper to short. Polanco fires over to Vargas. And DeShields still stuck at second, 1 away. You can follow Twins Baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. Stay connected to the game's best players all season long with game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, stats, news, more. Download MLB.com at-bat today, your #1 app for live baseball.
See, Dick, I think that was a good pitch because he was ahead of Andrus, and Andrus trying to go the other way, so he pulled the string, and Andrus way out front created that ground ball to short, and DeShields still at second base.
Gomez 0 for 2, a pop up to second and a strikeout. Well, what Marnie described and what you've described, it appears to me, is part of the problem for Kyle Gibson. He's trying to do that, throw the 4-seam fastball up, and he's gotten punished with it a lot of times. But I think he's trying to, previously having commanded the lower end of the strike zone, he's trying to establish up in the strike zone too.
I mean, I don't believe everything that Chris Gimenez said right there. I think there are certain hitters that have that uppercut swing, like Jim Thome, for example. You had to try to pitch him up because you left the ball down, he'd hit it a country mile. I don't think all hitters are that way, but it seems like the Texas Rangers do have guys in their lineup that do have that uppercut swing. Now we're going to Kansas City, you know, and I don't think they have that Charlie Lau type theory, the George Brett theory of slapping a ball the other way if it's up in the zone.
Rogers and Duffy warming up. Santiago would like to give the Twins at least 5 innings here, but the pitch count over 90. That's looped to right.
Doinker.
And Grossman decoyed well enough, I guess, to keep DeShields from only getting to third base.
Yeah, the inside out swing, not hit sharply, but in the right spot for Gomez.
Now first and third, 1 down, and that'll bring up Napoli.
And that's a tough, when you're at second base, you know, DeShields, you know, he's not sure because that ball had a little bit of hang time right there. You can kind of see him halfway. He didn't know what to do, and he ends up staying at third base.
Napoli has struck out twice, and he does have an uppercut swing, and we'll see if Santiago can get him again here. Maybe get him to hit a ground ball. Dangerous spot here with the cleanup hitter up and 2 men on. And he delivers strike 1. Close, but ball 1.
Again, I just don't think that David Rackley, the home plate umpire, giving both pitchers much inside at all. Take a look at this pitch. Maybe it is inside. Take a look. Boy, I think Hamels and Santiago have thrown a lot of pitches right there that have not been called a strike.
Runner goes, and the pitch lifted down the left field line, deep, but foul.
I don't know if that had enough room to go over the fence if it was fair, because Rosario went into foul territory. But there's that swing of Napoli.
And he struck him out. Well, in fact, both strike 2 and strike 3 were high fastballs.
Right.
On that last pitch, Gomez took off for second base. Popped up. Vargas looks to have room. 2 down.
Well, another pitch up right there. Napoli got underneath it. So a big out for Santiago and the Twins. Again, look at the pitch. It's up in the zone. Napoli pops it straight up.
Santiago, who's left 6 men on through 4 innings, trying to strand runners on the corners here. And 96 pitches, lefty. This might be his last chance to complete 5 innings.
Yeah, and he's facing a guy that's got pretty good numbers against him, even though he was able to retire Odor in his first at-bat. Odor got a base hit in the 4th. Odor came into the ball game 11 hits and 26 at-bats against Santiago. See, too many pitches. 20 in the first, 24 in the second, 16 and 19. And now here, see how many bullets he's got left to hopefully get out of this situation.
Twins have an infield shift on for Odor. And Sano.
Sano's playing off the line. DeShields can go about halfway if he wanted to.
Up and away. Right now, Santiago's season ERA is 1.84, and he'd like to get.
And Sano even came in and said, Santiago, he almost like I could read him. He said, don't worry about him. Get the hitter right here. There's 2 outs.
Gomez goes, pitches outside, and a bluff throw to second. So Gomez gets a stolen base, and now the tying runs at second. We'll see if the Twins keep the pull shift on for Odor.
Yeah, 3rd stolen base for the Rangers in the ball game. Gomez gets his 1st stolen base of the year.
Now Santiago will go from the full windup with a glance towards DeShields after he steps off. No, he's going to go to the stretch.
Yeah.
And a strike call, 2-1.
Now and Santiago knows that this guy's had some success against him, so he's not going to give in here. You do have first base open.
Pitch number 100 coming up for Hector Santiago. Two and 1. 3-1. Rua on deck. And Rua's been retired twice by Santiago tonight, but Rua is 6 for 15 against you.
Yeah, but again, you're falling into a guy that's had a lot of success against you. A 3-1 count. And I don't believe Santiago's going to give in to him right here. He's got to hit a nasty pitch.
Foul back now, 3-2. Shields bluffed down the line midway through Santiago's delivery.
Some hitters don't like that at the plate when a guy like DeShields takes off like that.
Full count to Odor.
I don't believe DeShields is going to do what he did last time. He's going to hang around right there.
Sano about 50 feet from the third base bag. Foul back.
High fastball, foul straight back.
Why wouldn't DeShields double his lead?
Well, because, I mean, a base hit, he's going to score easily anyway. And
yeah,
I think on that 3-1 pitch when he took off, You know, as a left-handed hitter, you see that. You may think you don't, but he did. Now DeShields is pretty sturdy as far as right now. He's not going to do that fake.
3-2 again to Odor. Into right field, it'll tie the game. A 2-run single for Rougned Odor, and we're tied.
I was surprised Santiago gave in to him right there. Odor had great numbers against him. He got a fastball, lined it past a diving Dozier, and he picks up a 2-run single. So all the pitches will show you outer half of the plate. And then that last one, too much of the plate. Odor had extended out and got the 2-run single.
103 pitches for Santiago, like 90 of them were from the stretch. The Rangers got leadoff man on. We haven't seen a call to the bullpen yet. This might just be a trip to the mound saying, hey, we'll give you one more if you want it. See if you can get through 5 innings. How about that? As he did earlier this year, I think it was in Irvin Santana's first start, came to the mound, talked to his veteran pitcher, gave him a little bit of a break. He's left him in. But Santiago's never really been able to get into a rhythm tonight because the leadoff men have been on in just about every inning.
He just hasn't been real sharp tonight. I really believe, and I'll talk to Hector about that. He made a bad pitch right there. He had first base open on a guy that was 11 for 26 coming into the ball game, already 1 for 2.
Rue is struggling this year, but he's had some success against Santiago. To the right field corner. Grossman chasing it and making a fair ball catch, and Santiago's completed 5 innings.
And Santiago saying, oh, why did I throw that pitch?
You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. He's probably out of the ball game. It's tied at 2. Now time for AARP's Getting to Know Miguel Sano, one of 6 players currently leading his team in runs, home runs, runs batted in, and walks. And he will lead off the 6th inning for the Twins against Cole Hamels. Sano's 2 for 2, a single to center and a single to right. He's now 4 for 5 with a home run and 3 walks against Cole Hamels. Here are the other players leading their teams in all those categories. Chris Davis for the A's. Of course, Eric Thames for the Brewers. Thames tweaked a hamstring today. Hope that that's not serious. He's been one of the great stories in baseball.
Yes, he has.
inside, and now 1-1. Big swing on the off-speed pitch.
Oh, good changeup right there at 81, 82 miles an hour.
Indians beat Houston 7-6. Mariners leading Detroit 7-0. Chicago beat the Royals 5-2 this afternoon. 2-2.
Tried another changeup right there, missed low.
Grossman on deck. And now a full count. While the Rangers have had the leadoff man on in 4 innings out of 5, the Twins have had the leadoff man on 3 times. Dozier with a leadoff walk, Vargas a leadoff single in the 2nd, and Buxton with a leadoff single in the 5th. Got it. Sano buckling to a knee. Swinging at another changeup, one down.
First strikeout for Hamels, who averages almost a strikeout per inning in his career.
Twins fans, join us for Kids in the City. Tuesday, May 2nd, we're celebrating members of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Twin Cities and our Fox Sports North All-Stars, including 9-year-old Ariana. Your ticket includes a pregame party at Fulton Brewery and a ticket to the Twins versus A's. Tickets are on sale now at boysandgirls.org/kids in the city. Here's Grossman. Strike 1. In the dirt to the backstop.
Hamels has 137 major league wins, only 96 losses, an ERA at 3.31.
Fastball for a strike. 1-2.
Hamels, a 4-time All-Star, has 2 no-hitters, or 1 9-inning no-hitter and the other one combined no-hitter.
To right center field.
It's trouble.
And that's down for a hit. Grossman aboard with a looping single with 1 out in the 6th. That'll bring up Vargas.
Grossman getting the 6th hit for the Twins.
Vargas singled leading off the 2nd, came in on Escobar's home run. Down and in, ball 1. With spring training, although Vargas, I'll say going into spring training before Vargas left for the WBC. I think the thought was there would be a job open for either him or Byung-Ho Park. Vargas on the 40-man roster, Park was not. Swing and a miss. And Park, of course, had the great spring, then got hurt after he was assigned to Rochester. But the advantage Vargas will always have over Park is his ability to switch hit. And that's a more important factor now than it used to be with so many short benches. Well, half the teams or whatever are carrying 13 pitchers right now. The Twins carrying 12. But even at that, having a switch hitter that you can put in against Hamels, who's so tough against lefties, that's a huge advantage. Twins will face 2 righties and a lefty in the Kansas City series. 1-1 to Kenny Vargas. 2-1. 80 pitches for Hamels.
And Hamels not real sharp. Only the 1 strikeout so far, a couple walks. 80 pitches, 46 strikes.
Double play grounder. Second double play that the Rangers have turned. Actually third, counting the line drive in the fifth. The bottom third of their order, starting with Joey Gallo, and the Twins will turn to Taylor Rogers to pitch to the Rangers after 5 innings turned in by Hector Santiago.
Yeah, Taylor Rogers worked here on Monday night. He threw the 7th inning, threw 12 pitches, 10 for strikes, gave up 1 hit, and he faced Gallo, the first batter that he faced, and Gallo hit that ball to Rosario in deep left center field.
Gallo, then Chirinos and Chu due up for the Rangers in the 6th. Rogers has faced 6 left-handed batters and retired them all. Way out in front, strike 1.
Yeah, good curveball right there. I mentioned before, Rogers' fastball, 2 types of curveballs. That's more the slower curveball. Than when he gets 2 strikes, he'll tighten it up a little bit. Occasional changeup.
Check his swing, 1-1.
Sure looks like to me, if you're a left-handed pitcher with Gallo and you're going to come inside, you better come way in.
Not for a strike.
Not for a strike. You can see the open stance already.
2-1. Teasing him with a breaking ball. See if Rogers can get the leadoff man, something that Santiago had a tough time doing. There he came inside for a strike.
Inside.
Gallo didn't like it.
Well, first 3 breaking balls away, and then Rogers comes in and paints the corner inside.
Oh my.
See how he painted that corner?
With an airbrush.
There's the little tighter breaking ball, but he left it up.
2-2.
Jimenez going through a sign, shake off, go fastball away. No fastball. He wants to go back to that curveball.
Whoa.
And that plunked him.
And the leadoff man is on again. Gallo's walked twice, and now he's hit by a pitch.
They tried to overthrow this curveball, and it stayed inside and got the back of Joey Gallo. There's the ball.
Now Robinson Chirinos with a single and a strikeout. Fastball, strike one. Fastball up. Rogers has struggled so far this year against right-handed batters. I mentioned left-handers are hitless against him. He did walk one earlier. Now he's hit a left-handed batter, but right-handers hitting him at a 375 clip. 6 hits, 16 at bats. And a fastball, first strike.
Well, Twins have hit into 3 double plays. See if we can get a ground ball right here. Turn a double play behind Rogers.
Struck him out. And Rogers hits the left-handed batter, strikes out the right-handed batter, and it'll be another lefty. Chu standing in next.
Yeah, kind of a running fastball away out of the strike zone. Chirinos striking out for the second time after he singled in his first at bat.
And now Chu, a fly ball to left and a strikeout. Fouled off a leg, 1 strike. Told you the story before. Taylor Rogers, a twin brother. Tyler is a right-handed side-winding pitcher for the San Francisco Giants AAA team. He's doing fine, and there's a chance that in 6 weeks, when the Twins go to San Francisco, that Tyler Rogers might be pitching out of the Giant bullpen.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
1 strike. And they are identical twins.
Taylor Rogers and his twin brother, 26 years old. They make their home in Littleton, Colorado.
That's poked to center. Buxton over. And he'll play it on a hop. And the left-handed batters have reached. One with a plunking and the other with a base hit. First and second, 1 down.
It looked like a breaking ball that stayed up.
You can build your Target Field schedule with the Flex Plan. Get 20 tickets to use any way you'd like. 10 games with a friend, 5 games with 4 friends, 1 game with 19 friends. Plus, your tickets are discounted. So is your food and beverage as well. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/flex. Back to the top of the order, and the Twins have had a tough time keeping the Shields off the bases. He's reached all 3 times. Santiago walked him twice and gave up a base hit. Strike at the knees.
DeShields, in his 3rd season with the Rangers, had a very good rookie season in 2015. Hit 261, 121 ball games. Last year, not so good. Hit only 209 in 74 games.
Down low, 1-1. 2-1. This has just been a struggle. First for Santiago. Guys on base in every inning. Even when Santiago got the leadoff man in the second inning, he got the next batter. Then he issued a walk and a single and had to pitch under duress to get through that inning. At the knees, 2-2.
Four fastballs so far.
Duffy warming up again. Pounded foul.
He's leaving some curveballs up.
Shields came up a couple of years ago for the Rangers and he hit 261, but as you said the other night, just 209 last year and a sub 200 batting average this year. Not someone you want to walk or even get into a deep count with. 2-2. And flip foul.
He's got a good bloodline. His dad was a good major league player for 13 years. Lionel DeShields Sr.
And now a full count. Andrus on deck. One way or the other, likely the last batter Rogers will be asked to face. And he walked him. Third walk issued to DeShields, and they're loaded up with one down.
Paul Molitor coming out. His calls for Tyler Duffy to come into the ball game.
Right-handed batters Andres, Gomez, and Napoli due up. So it'll be the right-hander Duffy with Rogers leaving the bases full behind him. Tied at 2.
Yeah, in the second inning, Eduardo Escobar gave the Twins a 2-0 lead, a second home run of the year. That had Vargas on the base, so Twins are up 2-0. And then Odor with 2 outs, runner at second and third. Gets that base hit to tie it at 2 apiece.
And Elvis Andrus, 1 for 3 on the night, will come up at a big spot. Bases loaded, only 1 out. Duffy pretty tough against right-handers and capable of getting a strikeout. That's what he needs right here.
Yeah, Duffy making his 7th appearance, 6 and 10 and 2/3 innings. He's walked only 2 and 9 strikeouts.
One of those walks, an intentional walk.
No pitcher likes to come into this situation, but Duffy will come right after him with a good fastball and a hard breaking ball.
Rogers faced 4 men, only got 1 out. Now they're loaded with 1 gone, and Andrus at the plate.
Still looking for that double play, Dick.
And Andrus has hit into 3 of them already this year. Half swing and a strike. Sano about even with the bag at third. Vargas actually cheating in front of the runner at first. So in this circumstance, in a tie game, it appears the corner infielders will come home and get a force play. At least Vargas will.
A lot depends on how quick that ball is hit to them.
It's hit right to Sano. Of course, he can step on third base perhaps and throw across. 1 strike to Andrus. Way out in front.
That's a nasty curveball that he features right there. And we've shown it before. Duffy now moving over to the third base side of the rubber. One thing I talked to him about that curveball. It's coming at a good angle from that side of the pitching rubber. Ahead in the count here.
And to the backstop, and the ball skips up in the air, and the ball throw hits Odor, or Gallo, I should say. It hit the backstop and then sprung high into the air, and the Rangers take the lead.
It'll be a wild pitch by Duffy. I mean, Jimenez wanted that 2-seam fastball inside, and it was too far away. Even Jimenez couldn't get the glove on it.
Well, Duffy needs to keep the damage to a minimum here, and the Twins have to bring the infield in. Not ahead of him on an 0-2 pitch, a wild pitch. Chopped foul. You can see the brick behind home plate. And Duffy's wild pitch got to the backstop in a hurry. And whatever it hit back there sprung the ball in the air. Almost looked at first like it might come right back to Jimenez and keep the run from scoring, but that wasn't the case. And another foul.
You know, we've seen that at target field too. If you hit it in the right spot and hit that limestone, it'll bounce back toward the infield.
The pitch back machine.
Yeah.
Two in the fifth to tie it. Now 1 in the sixth. And the Rangers have their first lead.
Watch Jimenez move behind the plate. That breaking ball stays inside.
Getting close to hitting Andrus. Inning started with a hit batter. A base hit to left. Here comes Rosario's throw to the plate, not in time. A 2-run single, and Andrus goes to second.
Well, looks like they tried to come in with another fastball, not in far enough, and Andrus opening up quickly. Do a little pitch by pitch. Duffy got ahead in the count. Fastball inside at 93. The good curveball. But then the wild pitch scored the go-ahead run, the breaking ball, another fastball inside, and that high breaking ball, and then see too much of the plate. Andrus reacting quickly, hitting it past the diving Sano in the left field, and DeShields, who's been a pest all night, scores for the second time.
Well, the wild pitch meant so much there. A run came in, but it forced the infield in, and Sano might have otherwise had a play on that ground ball, but because he was playing so short in the infield, it skipped through to the outfield. 5-2 Texas, still only one out. Gomez at the plate. He singled and scored his last time up. Inside, and the breaking ball nearly hit Gomez, and Jimenez will hand deliver the baseball. Santiago gutted his way through 5 innings, but the bullpen having a tough time here in the 6th. First Rogers and now Duffy. Sano, it's a fair ball, and from foul ground he throws to Vargas. A fine play on the play. Andres will go to third base. 2 away. So with a runner at third, 2 down, and Napoli coming in the box, the Twins have attacked him upstairs and had some success.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, Santiago struck him out up there. But all in all, you're trying to get him to chase that pitch up. And he did, and popped up to Vargas that last inning. That was before Odor got the 2-run single to tie the game.
And Duffy misfires, ball 1. Fastball again. It almost hypnotizes you as a team because he swings and he can't catch up with it. Then when he catches up with it 450 feet later, he's got a home run. We saw it with Cleveland throughout last year. And that gets away from Jimenez. Here comes the runner, and another run will score. Well, we've had a wild pitch. We've had a hit batter. That might be a pass ball. It went right through the webbing of his catcher's mitt.
Take a look right here. Yeah, just a pass ball. Like he tried to jab at it, and the ball just got behind it. And then trying to retrieve that ball, he just kept sliding.
4 runs on just a couple of hits. The bases are empty. And 2-1 the count now to Napoli. Duffy still pitching from the stretch. And spins a breaking ball up high, and now it's 3-1. Monday night's game, it was a nice orderly game. The starter went 6. Reliever A went through the 7th. Reliever B went through the 8th. Reliever C pitched the 9th. It was just a nice ball game. There's a ball lifted to right, and that'll spin into the seats. They do give Jimenez a passed ball, allowing the 4th run of the inning to score. Popped up. Sano over near the Twins dugout, makes the catch. The inning ends, but a mess of an inning, resulting in 4 runs for the Rangers.
tied it in the bottom of the 5th inning and now just added 4 for a 6-2 lead. Second inning, Escobar, who will be the first hitter here, hit his 2nd home run of the year. That off of Cole Hamels, who's still in the ball game. That gave the Twins a 2-0 lead.
Twins will try to start a comeback here. 3 innings worth of at-bats to do that. Eduardo Escobar will lead things off. He drove in the 2 Twins runs with a home run back in the 2nd inning. Strike on the outside corner. Escobar, Jimenez, and Rosario batting here in the Twins 7th. One and one. Twins stacking their lineup with right-handed batters, as many as they can. 2 and 1. Left-hand hitting batters Kepler, Bauer, Castro available on the bench.
Yeah, Bauer not in the ball game because he's 0 for 12 lifetime against Hamels.
3 and 1.
And over Hamels' career, I mean, righties, lefties hitting about the same, about 235. Left-handers, right-handers 239. As I mentioned before, this guy's been a workhorse in today's game.
Escobar with a good swing and a foul back. 3 and 2.
And Hamels has had a lot of success here since he came over. The Rangers are 20 and 5 in the 25 previous starts he's made here at Globe Life Park, and he's 11 and 2 with an ERA just over 4. So he's enjoyed pitching in this ballpark.
That's a hard ground ball fielded by Gallo. He's looked pretty good over there in this series. That was a hot smash on a couple of hops, and backhanded it, made it into an out.
Yeah, Hamels last year 15 and 5. He made the All-Star team for the 4th time in his career, 3 of those times with the Philadelphia Phillies. But since he's been a Ranger, you see the 23 and 6 mark with a lot of innings pitched. That's what you want out of your starter. They also got Yu Darvish, but they would need to keep him healthy if they can.
You know, when the Rangers got Hamels from the Phillies, he did kind of what CC Sabathia did years ago for the Brewers. He went 7 and 1 with an ERA of 3.66. And then Hamels made a couple of starts in the postseason. Didn't win a ball game. Had a rough start against the Blue Jays last year.
He's got a lot of postseason experience. 7 years he has been in postseason. He was part of the Philly team that beat the Tampa Bay Rays back in 2008. So he has a World Series ring.
Jimenez down the left field line, chased by DeShields. Out number 2. That'll bring up Rosario, the only left-handed batter. 0 for 2, hoping to keep his 8-game hitting streak alive.
Yeah, 8-game and also 13 games against the Texas Rangers. Every game that he has played against the Rangers, he has at least 1 hit.
So Rosario. And the other option the Twins could have had in the lineup today was to put Danny Santana, switch hitter, in Rosario's spot, but Santana's really been struggling at the plate, and Rosario has not. He takes strike 1. Santana, tough time hitting. In the dirt, 1 and 1. Inside, got a swinging strike, 1 and 2.
Hamels pitching a no-hitter, a 9-inning no-hitter back in July of 2015 in Chicago against the Cubs. Fastball inside, little movement down and in.
Tracks presented by Carrier. 1-2 to Rosario. And now 2-2. Craig Breslow warming up. He might get the bottom of the 7th inning.
Get through
ball,
there.
And
There
the
you
hitting
go.
streak is extended to 9 games. And that'll bring up Buxton.
The Twins get their 7th hit off of Hamels, but it seems like when they have done, other than Escobar's home run, there's been a double play that's followed.
Yeah.
But Rosario reaching out and hitting the ball up the middle. Odor just underneath his glove.
Buxton tonight has continued to have competitive at bats. He lined out to the center fielder Gomez in the 2nd. Then he dumped a single to right in the 5th. Inside ball 1. So as he now is in the series, at least showing the ability and willingness to hit the ball to the opposite field, won't take long for teams to adapt to that and try to work him over inside some more. Hoping to trim back Texas's 4-run lead.
Pitch number 97 coming toward home plate.
Inside again. 2-0.
Hamels last worked 5 days ago here against the Kansas City Royals. He worked 8 innings. He threw 107 pitches, allowed only 1 run.
I honestly didn't think that I'd ever see a Texas coach go to the mound with a hoodie. At home.
A little chilly here tonight.
Oh, please. This is gorgeous.
And why are they wearing jackets then?
I actually had to buy
She
a
stole
coat.
your blanket.
I had to I had to buy a coat today because it's going to be chilly in Kansas City when we get there. 3-0. And I want to tell you, if you need a winter coat, buying one in April in Texas is a real cheap place to buy one.
Why did I know you'd find a cheap one?
3-0 to Buxton, likely taking here with Dozier on deck. A 4-pitch walk, and Hamels having a hard time with the bottom of the Twins lineup. Rosario singling, and now Buxton walking, and that'll be the end of his night.
And the 3rd walk for Hamels in a ball game.
Well, the Twins have a chance here with Dozier coming to the plate and 2 men on to answer the 4-run bottom of the 6th. Hamels gives the Rangers 6 2/3 tonight.
You know, obviously his you know, accomplishments on the field speak for themselves.
The star of the Twins, huh? I mean, you really can't find nothing bad to say about the guy.
Smart about the game, go out, plays the game hard.
I see her working hard every day. Good guy, good teammate.
He works hard. He's always out there. He wants to be out there, you know, every pitch, even the days that, you know, we were down and out. He's continuing hard work, and what a great player.
The big hit in the Twins' opening game win here on Monday night, a 3-run double. And they can give the Twins a big boost here, falling behind by 4. And Tony Barnett is the new Texas pitcher.
Yeah, Barnett making his 8th relief appearance in his 2nd season with the Rangers.
Pitched a long time in Japan for the Yakult Swallows. And he does not give up many home runs. Dozier takes a strike on the outside corner. 67 major league innings for Barnett, and he's only given up 5 long balls.
Yeah, fastball in the low 90s, little cut fastball like a slider, and a changeup.
In the dirt, landed about 4 feet in front of the plate. It's blocked by Chirinos.
Yeah, Barnett originally signed by the Arizona Diamondbacks back in 2006 and then was released in 2010. Then he went over to play in Japan.
One and one. On the corner. Good pitch. Flipping the corner down and away, and it's 1 and 2. That's to right field, down for a hit. Rosario around third. He's coming in, and Dozier drives in a run, and he will get Polanco to the plate as the tying run.
A good piece of hitting by Dozier. We just saw a great pitch by Barnett down and away. Well, he left this one up a little bit, and Brian Dozier took it the other way. See that pitch up?
Off the plate.
And Brian slapping it the other way. Good piece of hitting by Dozier. He picks up his 8th RBI as Rosario scores. And Buxton holds up at second base.
Polanco is a right-handed batter, 0 for 3 tonight. He hit into 2 double plays, 1 on the ground, and then he spanked one about as hard as he could. Gallo made a nice play on a line drive and doubled Buxton off second base. Some speed out there. Buxton at second, Dozier at first, and Polanco at the plate. Sano on deck. Strike on the outside corner.
You mentioned Barnett in Japan. He was there for 6 years. You don't see pitchers stay over there that often, that long.
And then come back here.
Yeah. And in Japan, he was used out of the bullpen. They made no starts over there.
Smothered by Rua at first. And the Twins leave 2 aboard. They do get one. A 2-out rally gets one on the board, and it's 6-3. Unlimited baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. Avisail Garcia continues to swing the bat well for the White Sox. They completed a sweep over the Kansas City Royals, who were swept in 4 games here. And Michael Brantley with a 10-game hitting streak. The Indians outlasted the Astros. And James Paxton pitched an awfully big ball game for the Mariners. They lost yesterday. And they lost Felix Hernandez, who was put on the 10-day disabled list today. And they needed Paxton to step up and pitch a good ball game for him, and he did that.
Yeah, he's having a whale of a year so far, Paxton is. And as far as King Felix, they said maybe 3 to 4 weeks. He got a bad shoulder.
And Craig Breslow will come out of the Twins bullpen, hoping for a smooth 7th inning.
Yeah, Craig coming out for the 9th time, 6 1/3 innings so far. He's given up a couple runs. Couple walks, 1 intentional with 9 strikeouts. And Breslow worked in last night's ball game. He worked the 9th inning, a shutout inning through 16 pitches, 11 over the plate for strikes.
And the first batter, Rougned Odor, drove in a couple of runs with a single in the 5th to tie the game, and then the Rangers scored 4 times in the 6th. Breaking ball off the plate, ball 1.
You know, Hector Santiago really struggled, but I think if he had to have 1 at bat back, it would be to this guy right here. He had first base open, had a right-hander, Rua, who's on deck now, up, and he left him a 3-2 fastball. Right down the middle of the plate.
You know, Santiago wasn't as sharp as he's been. He got the Twins through 5 innings, gave up a couple of runs, but it really underscores again. And
he battled.
He battled. Yes, they got the Twins through 5, but it's just a huge difference. Oh. And now Breslow hits Odor.
That is the 15th hit batsman by the Twins pitching staff. That's the most in the American League. Taylor Rogers came in, hit a batter, and right there, a fastball clips Odor.
And the leadoff man is on again. Leadoff man has been on in every inning but the 2nd for the Rangers tonight. And now Rua. And a base hit to left. First and 2nd, nobody out. The Twins bullpen having a tough time here tonight. Rogers ran into trouble after he hit the leadoff man in the 6th.
Oh, Rua jumping on that first fastball that came middle in. He finds that hole between 3rd and short. So Rua picking up his first hit.
And 2 aboard for Gallo. Most teams are set up where if the starter gives them 6, they got somebody who can get outs in the 7th, somebody who can get them in the 8th, somebody who can get them in the 9th, and that's what happened here on Monday night. But when the starter goes just 5, it just opens the door for all sorts of unpleasantness, seems like. On the outside corner, a strike. Well, Rogers has been good, but he had a tough night tonight. The Twins ended up needing to get 12 outs from their bullpen, at least.
Breslow with that sidearm type of delivery. Heading the count on a breaking ball away to Gallo.
Interested to see what the Twins do with Santiago expected to go on the bereavement list. Twins could add a relief pitcher for the 3 to 7 days that Santiago will be gone. I'm guessing it'll be the 3 games in Kansas City. JT Chargois might be a candidate to be called up to help out the bullpen. 1-1.
Not a bad move right there by Breslow, just showing Odor and the Rangers he has that move. A turnaround move.
Runners going a double steal. And Sano with an incredible tag to retire Odor at third. He got to the bag lane, and then the throw was into the runner, and Sano in a different way showing off his athleticism.
Yeah, the throw was on the infield side. Sano got over there, had to reach out. And I don't know if I think they're going to maybe take a look at this.
Odor coming off the bag. I think the ball hit Sano's glove and Odor's forehead.
You see Sano diving for that ball and tagging Odor at the same time. So second runner thrown out at third base by Jimenez.
Runner at second. One down. Skied straight up in the air. Two down. I don't know how he even caught the ball. The tag was accidental.
Got it in his glove, and it just so happened to fall on Odor. What a great play by Sano.
Paul Molitor coming out here with Chirinos due up.
We're kind of saying that in this series so far. Great play by Sano.
Ryan Presley will try to keep this a 6-3 ball game.
A tremendous play. He's done it every game in this series so far. I talked to Gene Glenn, who's been working with Sano in the field, and Gene said they established a routine in the middle of last season where they would come out to the ballpark around 3 o'clock, home or road, and get some fundamental work in. And they'd work on hands and concentration and balance and vision with Sano, and just kept doing things over and over and over. Sano just made that play before we went to break. We haven't seen him do that yet, but we've seen him hit grounders up out of the ground. We've seen him dive left and right, and Gene just gushed about the advances and the progress that Sano had made. And guys, Gene Glenn talked about how proud he is that Sano has gotten to where he is now, especially after the struggles he had last year.
Struggles were first in right field and then at third base because he hadn't taken any work at third base. Presley in the game trying to retire Chirinos.
Yeah, Ryan worked in last night's ball game. He worked the 8th inning, threw 11 pitches, 8 for strikes. He had a strikeout with the 3 batters he faced.
1-0. Foul back. It was just over a year ago the Twins were in Washington, D.C., and out of necessity they moved Sano in from right field, put him at third base. And I still remember his first game there. He was bouncing around, he was on his toes, and he looked very much like a man who had gotten out of jail. He just enjoyed being back on the infield. And he's been a very pleasant surprise defensively for the Twins this year. Foul away, and it's 1-2.
Well, like Marnie reported, you know, she talked to Gene Glenn, and Gene Glenn, you know, very proud of him, not only the way he's getting better, but also the work habit. He wants to come out and get better.
And the way Marnie said it, I think, is how Sano approaches it. Fundamentals. He enjoys the work. He's enjoying everything about being back in the infield. Oh, and it is 2-2. Twins trying to stay in the game here. The Rangers have had a threat in every inning, it seems like. Yeah, big fastball chased by Chirinos, and I think Twins have figured out how to get him out. It is 6-3 as we go to the 8th.
Kid's strong, isn't he? Judd.
Jeremy Jeffress comes out of the Texas bullpen to pitch to the Twins in the 8th inning.
Yeah, 12th appearance for Jeffress, first time in this 3-game series. We'll get a look at him. He started last year with the Brewers, came over to the Texas Rangers. Twins saw a little bit of him when he was with the Kansas City Royals too.
Sano, Grossman, and Vargas are due up, 3, 4, and 5 batters. And as we get through the 8th and into the 9th inning, Twins have a bench of Kepler, Mauer, Castro, and Santana.
Yeah, Jeffress with a good fastball.
Sano rifles a shot to right field again. 3 hits last night, 3 more today, and he hasn't pulled a one of them.
And this copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
And now Grossman. Twins hoping to build an inning here after Sano's leadoff single. Grossman a year ago might have been pinch hit for in this situation, but he's handled things so well from the left side of the plate that they will leave him in. Grossman has always been a much better right-handed batter than left, but this year he's hitting 300 from this side of the plate, actually hitting a little bit better from this side than the other side. And a strike. 0-2. With his 3 hits tonight, by the way, Miguel Sano now hitting .286. There you see the splits and the home run coming from this side of the plate. Grossman fights it off. Not the prettiest swing, but he'll live to see another pitch. To center, and it'll carry to Gomez, who didn't have to move a muscle. 1 down. And that'll bring up Vargas. Vargas with a single and a run scored. 4 for 12 since his recall. Started the scoring last night with a solo home run. Ball juggled by Andrus. They get the force at second, and Sano says, take a look at it. Right over the mound, and Andrus, who had a sure out at first, took a bit of a gamble, and we'll see whether the out call stands.
Yeah, Sano staying at second base. He thinks he beat the little flip that Andrus did to Odor.
Used to think that over the last couple of years, runners were less apt to do that. But we've seen more and more runners always claim that they're safe, and Sano now is being called off the field. The Twins won't challenge it.
See the flip right there. Odor with that right foot on the back of the bag.
Yep. So as it turns out, Andrus made the right choice. Sano retired, 2 down, and now Escobar. Outside, ball 1. Matt Belisle warming up. Perhaps warmed up. One.
I was talking to Matt Belisle the other day. I said, how long does it take you to get warm? How many pitches? He said probably around 6.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, he's pitched so long, he knows. He said, what I do is I get up and I throw 3 really hard, and then I try to just throw the fastball, because he knows he has 8 out here on the varsity mound, as I call it.
Well, I ask you about that, and probably a longer answer than we'll have time for, but that's one of the things they're considering to speed up the game. Eliminate the pitches on the game mound. If a pitcher's warmed up, ready in the bullpen. Bring him in. Let's go.
Well, I got to know. I could say how they're going to shorten the game up, but it's going to cost a lot of money.
Escobar swings and misses, and it's 2-2.
You know, when I pitched in the 70s, we basically went out. You could throw a couple pitches, say, let's go. But now we have commercials, and we can't have to wait.
2-2 to Escobar. Keep the inning alive. And Jeffress strikes him out, gives up the leadoff single to Sano, but the Twins put up another 0 in the 8th. Matt Belisle out of the Twins pen. He'll pitch to the Rangers in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, Matt pitched here a couple of nights ago, a shutout inning, threw 14 pitches, 9 first strikes. He worked the 8th inning, as he's doing here.
Shin-Soo Choo will bat first, 1 for 3 on the night. And ball 1.
And with an off day tomorrow in KC, Paul Molitor, Neil Allen getting some of these guys up and in the game. 5th different reliever used.
One guy we haven't seen since he was called up, and he was kind of called up on an emergency basis, is Nick Tepesch. But Paul said today that Tepesch got not a full bullpen session in. He was starting in Rochester, but he got some work in, so they hope that he'll be ready to go this weekend. And Kyle Gibson will start the Kansas City series on Friday. And Phil Hughes, and then Irvin Santana. There's Nick Tepesch. Used to pitch here for the Rangers. 1-2. And again, Hector Santiago will leave the team and go to New Jersey for his grandmother's memorial service. And the Twins will use the bereavement list to add a player. There's nothing that says it will necessarily be a pitcher, but that would seem to make the most sense. 1-2. Hit to center. Buxton over to the gap. Can't make the play. It'll go to the wall, and Chu has extra bases. Buxton retrieves it. Chu on his way to third with a leadoff triple. Buxton laid out, but couldn't make the catch.
You know, we've seen Buxton out in center field utilize his speed and catch up to a lot of those balls, but that ball just kept slicing away from him. And Chu with that little bit of an inside-out swing. That ball's going to go more toward left field, and Buxton thought he could get it. He has to get up as quick as he can to retrieve the ball that he misjudged a little bit. But it's a triple for Chu, his first triple.
Ask Byron, but I'll bet you he thought up until the very end that he was going to catch that ball because of what you said. It just kept slicing away from him. Infield in. Runner at third, nobody out. Here's DeShields. And Belisle delivers strike one.
Yeah, this guy's been a pest here tonight. DeShields scored a couple runs. He's walked 3 times. And he got a base hit in the other at bat.
Miss, 0-2.
So far this season for Texas out in left field has kind of been a merry-go-round. They just haven't found the right formula. But if DeShields can get back to where he was a couple years ago, this game here might be a little starting block for him.
Profar hasn't done much out there. Rue has struggled. The presumption is that Joey Gallo will go out there when Beltre comes back, but again, that doesn't appear to be imminent at all. Well, for right now, Gallo will play at third base. 2 years with the Rangers, 2 division championships, 2 early exits for Jeff Bannister. Compliments of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Right, 95 wins both years that Bannister's been the manager here.
Popped up, and Vargas watches it spin into the seats. The Rangers back-to-back years got to the World Series and lost. Once to the Giants, once to the Cardinals. So they've had some success here. They just have not been able to win it all. Shields won't go away quietly. Infielders still playing in. Need to cut down the runner at third if they can. Well, this is probably the best series of at-bats Jeff Bannister's had from a left fielder all year long. They can't seem to retire DeShields. He's reached all 5 times.
Well, he picks up an RBI, just his second of the year, but picks up his second hit. So Chu scoring the 7th run for the Rangers, and he scores for the 2nd time.
Gone 3 outings without allowing a run, but now a quick one here. First 2 batters produce another run, and now Andrus. DeShields has stolen 2 bases tonight. Rangers have stolen 2. They've had 2 base stealers thrown out.
Yeah, both those at third base, and Phil Miller tweeted that last year alone there was only 2 guys thrown out at third base, and Jimenez threw out 2 here tonight.
Close at first. And I just find it remarkable. We witnessed it. We saw how teams were running almost at will at times against the Twins, but there were just 20 throwouts last year. And we played 3 weeks and some change. And there have been 8 throwouts already this year. You can credit the catchers, but the pitchers have done a better job of holding runners on. Pitch is up, ball 1. Foul. Rangers pretty quiet through 4 innings tonight. They threatened, didn't score against Hector Santiago, but they finally tied the game in the 5th, put 4 up in the 6th, and 1 now here in the 8th. Just off the edge. 2-1. Came into the game with an opponent batting average of 172, but he's greeted with a couple of hits here early in his outing. And now 3-1 to Andres. And now a walk. Belisle's having the type of outing that Taylor Rogers had. Time now for the Jeep road ahead as we look at the upcoming schedule for the Twins. An off day tomorrow. Friday looks okay. Saturday and Sunday look pretty tough weather-wise in Kansas City. Then another off day on Monday. And then a 6-game homestand between the Twins and the A's and Twins and the Red Sox. And back on the road again to Chicago and Cleveland. There's Carlos Gomez. A run in, 2 on. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th.
Gomez 1 for 4.
On the ground.
Turn it.
1. And that's all they'll get.
Yeah, low throw to Dozier right there, but would have been a tough double play anyway with Gomez hustling down that first baseline. But they do get Andres at second base for the first out.
And Napoli will come up with runners at first and third and 1 down. They've gone upstairs to get Napoli and retire him all 4 times. A called third strike on the first on a pitch that was, I think it was down and in, but after that, fastballs up, struck him out, and a couple of foul outs.
And Belisle struck out Napoli here on Monday night. See if he can do it again.
Up the line foul. Tony Beasley with a nice barehanded pickup. This series ends tonight, and then the Rangers will come to Minnesota in early August. Wasn't that long ago. We came to every American League city twice, but we don't do that anymore. Check swing. I think he went. Yep. 0-2. A lot of Twins fans know the Twins front office very interested in bringing Napoli aboard in the offseason, hoping he could do for the Twins what he did for the Indians last year. Instead, he decided to re-sign with the Rangers. Had been with them before.
Keeping an eye on Gomez. He stole a base in the 5th inning.
Two strikes to Mike Napoli.
Jimenez sitting inside.
Gomez goes. Throw goes through. And a stolen base for Gomez, and DeShields stays put. The Rangers doing some running tonight.
Yeah,
3 steals, 2 throwouts, and then 1 advancement on the double steal where there was an out recorded.
Yeah, I got 4 stolen bases and then a couple throwouts. So Gomez steals his 2nd. DeShields had a couple stolen bases.
Yes, 4 steals. Rua does not get a stolen base in the 7th inning when Odor was thrown out. No. Infield in now, and the count to Napoli 1-2.
And now he really needs that strikeout.
Or another foul pop.
Last pitch was inside. Which Jimenez were behind the plate. Which way will he move? Looks like something off speed, down and away.
Belisle, the 5th relief pitcher for the Twins tonight. Another 1-2. And now 2-2.
It's not only 5 relief pitchers, it's 3 of the 5 from Texas. Duffy, Presley, and Belisle. Belisle makes his home now in Fort Myers or Fort Worth, just up the road here, but grew up in Austin, Texas.
Six different Twins pitchers. None of them have had a 1-2-3 inning tonight. The leadoff man's been on in 7 of the 8 innings for the Rangers. And now 3-2.
They tried a curveball right there and missed low.
Odor on deck. Michael Tonkin getting loose. He comes in. Tepish and Kinsler would be the only relievers not in the game. Got him with another pitch up. A strikeout of Napoli, 2 down. Bobblehead by day, Guardian by night. Marvel, Rocket Raccoon Twins bobblehead giveaways coming up Saturday, May 6th. The first 10,000 fans receive a bobblehead courtesy of Marvel as the Twins take on the Red Sox. For more information, visit twinsbaseball.com or the ballpark app using your mobile device. Odor hit by a pitch his last time up, a couple of singles before that, and he will be intentionally passed to fill the bases.
Yeah, don't waste your bullets anymore. Just give them 4.
All right, now that you've seen it in action, what do you think of it?
I don't like it.
Why?
I just don't like it.
But You have to have a reason for the things you like and
the
you
game
don't
has
like.
been played a certain way for 150 years, and now they're changing everything.
Here's Rua with the bases loaded and 2 down.
To speed the game up 2 minutes.
Strike on the outside corner.
Telling you what, over the years, I saw a lot of pitchers that had to throw 4 pitches out of the strike zone and intentionally walk and throw it in a backstop.
Once lost a ball game when Pat Light did that last year. 1 strike to Rua. Singled his last time up. 1-1.
A lot of pitches thrown by Matt Delisle. Delisle 30 so far, 26.
Trying to get out of this inning with just 1 run allowed.
Now here on Monday, he just needed 14 pitches to get 3 outs.
Driven to right and deep. Grossman back. Grand slam.
Oh.
Five runs in the 8th. Watch this guy batting practice, and once he hits the ball with any authority at all to any direction, he's got a chance to hit it out. He's very strong.
Rua's first home run this year for the Texas Rangers. Had a pitch away and went that way.
Well, Belisle, like Rogers before him, has his most disappointing outing of the year, giving up 5 runs in the 8th, and the Rangers have busted it open. As recently as the 5th inning.
Well, Rua, who hit 22 home runs last year, gets his first home run this year. Like a breaking ball, stayed up. And Rua taking it the other way. Well, the Rangers opening up the ball game here. 11-3 lead.
Two in the 5th. 4 in the 6th, and now 5 in the 8th. Michael Totman will be asked to get the final out of the 8th inning.
Yeah, Michael making his 6th relief appearance. Total of 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, 5 walks. Fastball, slider.
So everyone out of the bullpen except Tepish and Kinsler been used here in the ball game. 1-0. Kinsler, of course, Twins would like to keep him out of the game because he's their closer, and you don't want to waste too many innings for those guys. But Tepish, I think, Twins really wanted to protect tonight because Kyle Gibson starting the opener on Friday. And Gibson's had so many short starts. The reason Tepesh was called up in the first place is because Gibson had another short start, and so Tepesh is going to kind of back him up on Friday.
I'm interested. I'm looking forward to the game on Friday. I think Kyle hopefully will pitch a good ball game.
The gap in right center, and Gallo has a hit, and it'll be an extra base hit. And the Rangers just keep on hitting.
Well, Gallo picking up his first hit of the ball game after a couple walks, hit by a pitch and a pop-up. That double his 4th of the year. So the Rangers hitting around here in the 8th inning. 9th batter to face. Twins pitching.
And they've hit for the cycle this inning. Chirinos has singled and struck out swinging 3 times on high fastballs. Had a chance to go above the 500 mark, sweep the Rangers, all of that, and they had the game going their way until the Rangers tied it up in the 5th.
Well, again, it's so hard to sweep a team, you know, anywhere, but on the road. I mean, when's the last time the Twins did it?
1976.
Yeah, so it's been a couple years.
Yeah. 41 to be exact.
All right, way to go. Wow.
And the Rangers struggling to not hit home runs. There's another ball to the backstop. And on the play, Gallo will go to 3rd.
I don't know how they'll rule that right there, but you know, a couple times we've seen Jimenez with Duffy out there. He's sitting inside, and the ball is, you know, a foot or 2 outside. And I think the same thing here. He wanted that fastball in from Tonkin, and the ball ended up down and away. Maybe they missed the plate by a foot.
Now a pitch up. Tonkin struggling. He's given up a double and now a walk. And Chu, who started this with a triple to left center field. Three for 10 in the series, as you see. High fly to deep right field. And the Rangers add 3 more. Chu cranks the first pitch into the seats in right.
Well, he started the inning off with a triple and now adds a 3-run home run. His 2nd home run of the year.
Bad night for the bullpen. Some individual numbers are going to be bloated beyond recognition. Rogers ended up giving up 3 runs. Belisle gave up 4. Excuse me, 5. And now Tonkin's given up 3.
2nd home run that Tonkin has given up.
And DeShields at the plate for the 6th time tonight. He has 2 hits. He's been walked 3 times. He scored 3 runs. He's stolen 2 bases. One and one.
This was a save situation when the inning started for the Rangers. I believe they had Matt Bush up, who's now their closer.
Yeah, it was 6-3. You're right.
Yeah.
Two and one from Tonkin to DeShields. 2-2. On the ground to Polanco. Finally, the inning ends. Finally, DeShields has been retired, but the Rangers open it up with 8 runs. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Started to turn around in the 5th inning. The Rangers finally got a couple of runs against Santiago, but it's been a really rugged night for the Twins bullpen tonight. Chu with a home run, Rua with a grand slam, and now Keona Kela will pitch for the Rangers in a non-save situation.
Kela pitched here, making his first appearance of the year here the other night, 3rd of an inning. Ended a ball game on Monday night.
Jimenez will lead things off. His pitch popped up, and Chirinos makes the catch, 1 away.
Kela making his 5th relief appearance. Excuse me.
You're excused. Time now for What's Next, brought to you by CenturyLink, and it'll be Kyle Gibson Friday night against Ian Kennedy. The weather on Friday looks okay, and then Phil Hughes hopes to pitch against Jason Hamill. Irvin Santana hopes to pitch against Jason Vargas. The Royals also have an off day tomorrow. 1 down in the 9th, and here's Eddie Rosario. Ball 1. Rosario singled and scored his last time up. He'll take a 9-game hitting streak into Kansas City. Two 2-0.
Kela, 24 years old, straight over the top pitcher. That fastball in the upper 90s at times.
On the outside corner.
Ball at 95. Big hard curveball. They had a good year last year for the Rangers. 5-1 out of the bullpen, 35 relief appearances. 45 strikeouts, 34 innings.
And fouled into the seats. Twins with 9 hits. Rosario with one of them. Buxton's on deck. He'll get one more plate appearance here. Up and away. 3-2 to Rosario.
I'm guessing he's getting a fastball here. Hopefully he can put good wood on it.
On the ground to Gallo. He's got a strong arm too, doesn't he?
Hey, you know, Eddie Rosario hustling down that line, and yeah, he showed off that cannon he's got.
2 down, and that'll bring up Buxton. Other than the 2 wins here, the takeaways from this series, I think, will be Miguel Sano's locked in right now with 3 hits last night, 3 hits again tonight. But maybe more importantly, and the hope is that it'll last, something clicked for Byron Buxton. Any one of his plate appearances so far in this series have been better than any plate appearance we've seen in the first 3 weeks. And tonight, a line out to center, a single to right, and a walk. One strike to Buxton. And now a ball.
Can hear him grunting up here.
I'm hoping it's him.
Rangers had a pitcher that grunted all the time, a guy named Nolan Ryan.
Ryan left the organization a few years ago and is kind of sort of working for his son Reed Ryan, who's the baseball executive running things for the Astros. Swing and a miss. And it's 2-2. Down and away, 3-2. If Buxton keeps the game alive, Dozier will hit. And Buxton takes a walk, so he's on base again. And now Dozier singled in a run his last time up. So some encouraging signs from Byron Buxton. Here's Dozier. Ball 1. Rangers aren't holding Buxton on. Even if he does take off, it'll be defensive indifference. And now a strike, 1-1. And now 1-2. 2-2. Matt Bush was warming up. He's a closer now. Sam Dyson was. Misfired in his first 3 save opportunities and then got hurt. Roller to short. Andrus flips, and they get Buxton at second. And the Rangers avoid being swept by the Twins. This was a good ball game until the ball game was handed over to the Twins bullpen.
Yeah, I don't think both starters, but Cole Hamels gets a win. Hector Santiago gets a no decision. The bullpen, yeah, they didn't do their job tonight. It just didn't work out.
Tom Hanneman, the Twins will have an off day tomorrow. They've won this series, and now we'll enjoy the off day tomorrow and try to continue their success they've had already this year against the Royals.